and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 1025. The game streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Ian, do we sound okay?
Sound great.
Okay, good.
Love to
because,
hear it.
I mean, we're kind of out here by ourselves at Bridgestone Arena today. The Predators have a game against the Minnesota Wild. A lot of people are starting to panic about whether or not the Predators are going to make the playoffs. Yours truly is not panicking. No panic around here.
That's a first.
So I want to start the show off with this. I was going to make an Instagram post about this morning, but then I always feel like people misinterpret posts and things, and when it's like written words as opposed to like what you say. And if there's anybody who feels like perhaps, things that they say get taken out of context more than anybody, it might be me. And I wanted to start today. Today is the 1-year anniversary of Caroline Fenton joining our radio show. And I wrote something out today, and I started to get a little emotional about it.
Oh.
But I'm just really thankful that we were lucky enough to find Caroline. Porth and I kind of got together and decided what we were looking for. And I felt like there was like a lot of a lot of pressure on whoever joined the show because we had so much success, and we weren't really looking to not have success anymore. And so we found Caroline, and Caroline came in here, and we kind of said right away, like, hey, like, this is what we're expecting, and Caroline has hit it out of the park. And I don't want to make it about me, but I'd say the last year of my life was probably faced with more challenges than I've probably ever faced before, emotional, all kinds of different stuff. And I'm really glad that we have Caroline here, and I think the city's a better place because of it. So it's been a good 1 year. So
on to the next one, and I appreciate you so much. From the very first second that I stepped into Nashville, you've been supportive, and you've pushed me harder than anyone has in the best possible way. And I told you this, and I mean it wholeheartedly. I never, ever would have realized my true potential if it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for Ryan Porth, if it wasn't for Chase, wasn't for Dennis, it wasn't for Ian, for all of you believing in me. And I really, really am happy to be here, and I cannot wait for another great year.
Yeah. All right. So I want to start with this.
Go team.
I want to start with this. Diana Rossini today from the desk of Mike Vrabel. That is how I am interpreting everything that Diana Rossini ever reports about the Titans. Is that fair?
That is fair.
Okay. So a lot of A.J. Brown drama, and I don't even, even for me, I'm not one of these people. And I was listening to the Midday Show, and they were kind of talking about this. About why are these rumors coming out? Why is it, what about this, that, or the other? I'm not one of these people who's against rumors. I'm pro rumors. And I think that in the NFL, where the money is so big and the popularity is so high, that there's going to be rumors. And there's a rumor out there about A.J. Brown. And I understand how everybody feels about this. The Jets would love to have A.J. Brown. The Titans want to keep A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown wants to feel respected by the Titans. I'm sure A.J. Brown doesn't mind the fact that as he's coming up on a contract that other people clearly want A.J. Brown. So I understand what's going on here. And I think a lot of people just read whatever is reported and they think, well, that's just the truth. Or they don't really investigate it. So Diana Rossini tweets out this morning, the Tennessee Titans are not shopping or taking calls on A.J. Brown per sources. Sources, meaning?
Mike Vrabel.
Per Mike Vrabel, we can assume, the Tennessee Titans are not shopping or taking calls on A.J. Brown. GM John Robinson made it clear at the owners' meetings that they are currently working towards keeping Brown a Titan for the long term. I am told this has not changed. Now, when did John Robinson talk at the owners' meetings?
I don't remember him ever talking at the owners' meeting.
Now, he did
at the combine.
He did the Jim Wyatt article in which he said that.
But not publicly.
Do you think Diana was keeping up with the Jim Wyatt article, or do you think somebody said to Diana, hey, John said this at the combine too, so this is just backing up what's going on here?
I would say probably the latter.
Okay, so yesterday we figured out that Rich Cimini, who came on Darren, Donick, and Chase today and said that the rumors he's putting out there are fodder. Like, he said that today. We'll get to this in a second. But he basically said, yeah, I mean, it's all bullcrap, without saying it. But we determined that that's come from the Jets. Rich Cimini's not putting bullcrap out on his own.
No.
The Jets are giving him bullcrap. He knows it's bullcrap. And then he's putting it out there because a reporter's job is to do what?
Report.
So he's reporting what he's been told, which he knows is bullcrap. And so then Diana Rossini, I mean, if I was TD, I'd be a little upset that Mike Vrabel's going to Diana Rossini with all the T and not to him. Because, Cimini's like the TD of
the Jets.
Of the Jets.
Right.
So then Vrabel, we assume, goes to Diana Rossini and says the Titans are not shopping A.J. Brown. So here's what's happened. The Jets are saying, we're interested in A.J. Brown. Instead of picking up the phone and calling the Titans and saying we're interested in A.J. Brown, they are going through Rich Cimini publicly to say we're interested in A.J. Brown. The Titans, instead of picking up the phone and calling the Jets and saying we're not interested in A.J. Brown, or we're interested in A.J. Brown at this price, because as we said yesterday, there are certain prices that are attached to A.J. Brown that if you don't pay that if you're willing to pay this price, A.J. Brown is yours. And I have no problem with that. I mean, I heard somebody text in and said to the midday show, and Darren's like, that's crazy. The Jets would never do that. Well, let's see if the Jets won't do that. Because if the Jets will do that, then they can have A.J. Brown. But the Titans aren't doing that. The Titans are playing the media game. So it feels like they're starting to negotiate with each other through the media. And this is because everybody wants plausible deniability. Just like with Ryan Tannehill. Everything the Titans said publicly was Ryan Tannehill is our guy. The end. You don't think they were monitoring the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes?
Absolutely.
Of course they were. But they knew that they had to back Tannehill because they knew it wasn't very likely that they were going to have a shot at Aaron. So when they didn't get Aaron, John Robinson and Mike Vrabel can tell Ryan Tannehill when he shows up for OTAs next week, they can say, we always believed in you, Ryan. We weren't interested in Aaron. That's why you never saw anything surrounding us. It was all gossip. It was all bullcrap. And that's what's going on here. The Jets probably reached out to the Titans. The Titans probably said they weren't interested without saying they weren't interested. So now they're not taking calls, but they're negotiating through the media. Cimini comes out last week and says, the Jets are interested in A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, and Deebo Samuel. That's making 3 calls without picking up the phone. The Titans tell Jim Wyatt that they're not interested in trading A.J., and, as a general manager, you got to pick up the phone, but we want to keep A.J. There was a little crack of daylight there. Hey, as GM, you always got to pick up the phone, and then who knows, you go from there. Cimini then comes out and says, DK, AJ, they're still interested in, but they don't think they can get DK. And Cimini said on Darren Donick and Chase that he heard from the people that he's talked to that they kind of look at the Titans as a possibility with AJ because they look at the Titans cap situation and say, oh, the Titans don't have a lot of money on the cap. But the Jets know this. The Titans know this. Cimini knows this. I know this. And if you listen to this show, you know this. The salary cap doesn't matter. There's certain players that it matters for. Like, oh, man, we'd love to have that backup linebacker, but not at $5 million. Then there's other players it doesn't matter for. Cincinnati's cap does not matter for Joe Burrow. And the Titans' cap does not matter for A.J. Brown. So, again, the Jets yesterday, through Cimini, put out that they're willing to deal the 10th overall pick for A.J. Brown. And Diana Rossini today, through the Titans, is negotiating with the Jets that we are not interested in trading A.J. Brown. And that's probably true. Mm-hmm. But what this means to me is we're not even taking calls unless you're going to knock our socks off. So now we have to keep waiting for Rich Cimini to tell us what the Jets' response to the Titans saying A.J. is not for deal. Because that's what's now going on, is they are negotiating through the media. It is plausible deniability. The Titans, if they pick up the phone and the Jets call and say, we'd like to offer the 10th overall pick for A.J. Brown. And John Robinson says no. Now it's out there that the Titans have been taking calls on A.J. Brown, even though all he did was say no and hang up the phone. So he's not going to take your call because he doesn't want you going to Adam Schefter or Rich Cimini or Diana Rossini or whomever and saying that, hey, we called them about A.J. Brown. They said no, but they don't want that. So instead of picking up the phone and saying no, they're having Diana Rossini say no for them. And if Rich Cimini comes out and says the Jets are so in on A.J. Brown, which he definitely did not say an hour ago when he was on the midday show, but if he comes out and says, hey, the Jets are so into A.J. Brown that they would trade the 10th overall pick this year, they would trade the first-round pick next year, and their second next year, then I guarantee you we wouldn't be dealing with Diana Rossini anymore, and JR would be on the phone with JD, Joe Douglas. But that's just 101 what's going on here, is now everybody is using the media to negotiate. It's a lot like if you watch The Last Dance and all of the Phil and Michael and Jerry Krause. And remember, Jerry Krause was quoted in the paper as saying that there's no chance Phil comes back next year. And then where do the cameras go? Right to Michael. And Michael says, as he's walking in the locker room for a game against the Jazz, Michael says, well, if Phil's not the coach, then I won't play. So instead of Jerry telling Michael Phil's not coming back, and Michael telling Jerry that if you don't bring Phil back, I'm going to retire, they're doing it through the media. That's what's happening here. So we shall keep our eyes peeled. We should keep our ears open. And we should be on Twitter. And everybody go ahead and give a follow to Diana Rossini because, again, when I read the Tennessee Titans, honest to God, and I am not accusing her of this, but, this looks like it's this looks like it's from the team.
There are a lot of things that come from Diana Rossini that sound like they come from the team.
The Tennessee Titans are not shopping or taking calls on wide receiver A.J. Brown per sources. GM John Robinson made it clear at the owners' meetings that they are currently working towards keeping Brown a Titan for the long term. I am told this has not changed. From the desk of Mike Vrabel. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. And I have to ask about the absurdity of one element of this A.J. Brown, New York Jets, Diana Rossini, Rich Cimini, Johnny Joe, everybody else involved here. There is something about I find to be completely absurd. But first, Caroline has to say about Caesars Sportsbook.
Yes, I do. It's time for the Caesars Sportsbook report. Now, we just wrapped up the NCAA tournament. What a fun month of March and a little bit of April that we could put some money on some really fun basketball games. But now we're looking forward to NHL, NBA, you name it. And Caesars Sportsbook has released a brand new offer for their new users just for the occasion. Download the Caesars Sportsbook app and get started with up to $1,100 in first bet insurance and sign up with promo code RADIOCZR. That's one word, RADIOCZR. So if you need something to place your first bet on, do it on the Predators game tonight. The Wild coming into Nashville to take on the Nashville Predators. And the Wild have been red hot. They've now won 9 of their last 10. They most recently beat the Capitals 5-1, a huge win for the Wild. The Wild are on a heater. And the Preds just lost to the not-so-great Buffalo 4-3 in their last game. So I'm actually going to take the Minnesota Wild to cover the puck line -1.5. Really good odds there, plus 220. I was tempted to take the Predators plus 1.5. Thought they were going to keep it close because what do we know about the Predators? When they zig, they zag, but not great odds there at -270. So I think the Wild are going to win it big tonight. So that's my take. But put money on what you want to put money on and do it with the Caesars Sportsbook app. Must be 21 and physically present in Tennessee. New users only. Bet amount of qualifying wager returned only if wager is settled as a loss. Paid as a single bet credit must be used within 14 days. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. Caesars Sportsbook. Download it, people.
Join ESPN 1025 The Game for the Music City Celebrity Golf Tournament. Benefiting Folds of Honor on May 16th at Hermitage Golf Course. Put your team together and come play with the athletes, musicians, and other local celebrities. The Music City Celebrity Golf Tournament. Sign up at theGameNashville.com/golf.
Willie Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Proud to announce that they have won the Top Gun Award for the best Pella sales organization in the U.S. They have the best culture, best customer satisfaction, and best growth in the business. To celebrate, Pella is offering their amazingly affordable products at 0% financing with no payments for 12 months. Do you need new doors or windows? I suggest you shop with Nashville's Pella experts at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Go to PellaofNashville.com.
Finishing jobs on time, never being idle, and powerful equipment. Meade has the John Deere excavating equipment and the smart grade technology solutions for you and your business. Power your business with a new, used, or rented excavator and get the performance you expect and service you can rely on. Call us today for the equipment built as tough and reliable as you, or visit us at meadtractor.com. That's meadtractor.com.
Smokeville Smoke Shop in Hendersonville wants to invite you, your friends, and family to their huge 420 blowout event. Live music, on-site food and dessert trucks, discounts store-wide, and a free dab bar. Smokeville Smoke Shop's 420 event will be held at their flagship store located at 699 West Main Street in Hendersonville on Wednesday, April 20th. Visit them on Instagram at Smokeville Smoke Shop for more event details and to take advantage of additional special offers. Smokeville Smoke Shop for all your smoking needs.
Trying to find a new home right now is next to impossible. Very little inventory, prices are crazy high, rates are moving up. Here's a better idea. Let my friends at Loan Pronto refinance your current home, turn all that equity you have into cash, and totally transform your house. A new kitchen, new bathroom, a pool. Think about it. Your home value is up. Instead of wasting all that on an overpriced new house, convert that equity into cash for a home makeover. One local couple did it and got $200,000 out. They added new hardwoods, an outdoor living space, a swimming pool with spa, and all new cabinets and appliances, plus a home office. Now they have their dream home, and they never had to move. Call Loan Pronto. Ask about their home improvement refi. Give your home a total makeover, and do it now. You can even skip your next house payment in the process. Call now, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval.
Interact with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
They've drafted what they believe is going to be their franchise quarterback. They're obviously looking for that surefire number one receiver. How far do you think they're willing to go to get that guy?
Yeah, I think they're willing to go pretty far. I mean, we saw with the Tyreek Hill, they were in the ballpark financially with Miami, and so I don't think that's a major issue. And we saw what they offered. You know, they offered 2 2s and a 3 for Tyreek Hill, and that actually, if you use the point system on the trade chart, that was actually slightly better than what Miami offered Kansas City. But the player just wanted to go to Miami. There's nothing the Jets could have done about that, so he ends up going there. So, yeah, I mean, I think they would certainly make the same offer to get a player like a Brown or a Metcalf. I think they probably would have to pay a little bit more simply because those guys, Brown and Metcalf, they're only 24. Tyreek Hill's 28. And so you're really getting a player who's just coming into their own in Brown and Metcalf. They'd probably, you know, obviously one of those two teams would they would ask for a first-round pick. The Jets have 2 of them, 4 and 10. I don't know if the Jets would be willing to part with it. We'll see. As of right now, I do not believe either player is quote-unquote available. It's just something that the Jets are keeping an eye on.
There you go, Rich Cimini from ESPN putting out the rumors on A.J. Brown and then saying, I don't think either player, Metcalf or Brown, I don't think they're available. But I'm just saying the Jets are going to be keeping an eye on it, which, again, do you think Rich Cimini's just, you know, looking at players? Do you think he just has, like, pulled out a book of players in the NFL and says, let's see, Damiere Byrd. That could make sense for the Jets. Hey, Joe, it's Rich. Are you interested in Damiere Byrd? Okay, no. All right, click. Let's see. Wide receivers. N'Keal Harry. Hey, Joe, it's Rich. Are you interested in N'Keal Harry? Okay. You think he's doing that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's quite the opposite, actually.
Okay, right. Exactly. Now, here's the thing that I can't get over when it comes to the A.J. Brown stuff. Now, again, I deal in reality, and I think there's a big difference between reality and bullcrap.
Yes.
When Diana Rossini says, and again, we view anything that it comes from Diana Rossini as, like, anytime I see this, like the people that have their own personal stationery. Like, I have my own personal
From
stationery.
the desk of Jared Stillman.
Yes, it literally is a memo from Jared Stillman. And this is from the desk of Mike Vrabel. Anytime I read something from Diana Rossini that involves the Titans. The Titans are not shopping or taking calls on A.J. Brown. Okay, let's stop here for a second. How stupid would that be?
Very.
Like, if somebody's going to pick up the phone and call you on A.J. Brown, which the Jets clearly are not doing because, as Rich Cimini just said right there, they're keeping an eye on it. And you heard what the little hints that he's dropping, right? He dropped the hint about the 10th overall pick in the ESPN article, but didn't commit to the Jets being willing to trade the 10th pick.
But it
then
was enough context there to seem very interesting.
Yeah, he's not making up the 10th overall
No.
pick. There's a reason he didn't talk about the 4th overall
Exactly.
pick. And then he's saying, I think, in the clip we just played, I think that A.J. Brown or DK Metcalf would go for more Tyreek Hill. Because we took the Hill package and we said, would you take this package for A.J. Brown? And what did I say last week? You'd have to add another number 1 pick, and then I would take it. So he's throwing out, and I don't think he's doing the bidding on the part of the Jets. He's doing his job, and the Jets know what his job is. So they're
Jets are
taking
feeding this to
advantage.
him.
Yes, they're
Exactly
taking
what the Titans are doing
advantage
with Diana Rossini.
of his job. Like, that's what they're doing. They are taking advantage of Cimini's job and the plausible deniability of, we didn't talk to the Titans. We don't know anything about that. What are we supposed to know? I mean, what are we we don't know. And so what they're doing is, again, they're using the media here to negotiate. But he's giving us hints when he says, I think it would be for more than the DK Metcalf, than the Tyreek Hill or Devontae Adams trade. I think that the A.J. Brown would fetch more. Diana Rossini is saying the Titans aren't even taking calls. Well, that's nonsensical. I mean, every trade, somebody has to take a call. Like, when the Predators traded Shea Weber, I don't think the Predators went out of their way to find a trade for Shea Weber. Maybe they did, but I don't think they went out of their way. But I think David Poyle said that at the draft, the general manager at the time of the Canadiens, Mark Bergevin, came up to him and was like, hey, would you be interested in PK? And it was like, PK Subban? It was like, yeah, would you be interested in PK Subban? And I'm, trying to do, Mark Bergevin. Would you be interested in the PK Subban? Because in Montreal, you cannot be bigger than the organization. And
You sound like the little guy from Ratatouille.
That's how I envision a lot of people who, work for the Canadiens.
Just teeny tiny
that
chefs.
are,
that are French.
The Montreal Canadiens. But, like, at some point, you got to take a call. I mean, it's crazy. They're not taking calls on A.J. Brown. Like, by the way, if you text somebody and say, hey, John, it's so-and-so, buzz me. Like they call you back. So that means that they're taking call. Like, you don't even have to tell them that you're calling about A.J. Brown. You just call them. They have to answer the phone. So this idea of they're not taking calls on A.J. Brown, what the hell does that actually mean? And what it means is the Titans want A.J. to know that they are so not thinking about trading him, that they are not even taking calls on him, even though it is absolutely nonsensical for any general manager in any sport to not listen to what somebody else has to say. I have a house that I love living in, and I don't plan to move. But if somebody offered me $8 million to leave, I would do it today. TriStar Moving, get them on the phone right now. We got $8 million. We are getting the hell out of Green Hills. Like, I mean, come on. Like, it's ridiculous. Just the stuff that these people report and, like, the people that sit there and listen to it. And all I'm saying, and I'm not mad at Diana Rossini because she's doing her job. I'm not mad at Rich Cimini because he's doing his job. I'm not telling you an AJ trade's happening because I don't think it is. But, like, how nonsensical is that? They're not taking calls.
Well, it's the same thing with David Poyle and Philip Forsberg about a month ago. David Poyle was on the midday show saying, we are not shopping Philip Forsberg. Now, shopping can mean a lot of things. It can mean picking up the phone and hearing what someone has to say and hearing what another team has to offer for Philip Forsberg. You're saying you're not doing that? Well, that's stupid.
Well, shopping is different than taking calls, though.
But you could say taking calls could fall underneath the category of shopping.
Yeah, but see, there's a difference here.
But
a huge difference.
Either way, it's stupid to not do it.
So
it's stupid to not have an incredibly valuable player and hearing what people are willing to give you for that valuable player.
I would agree, but there's a huge difference there. So shopping is like you are actively, that would be like me putting my house on the market. And a lot of people do this. Like they'll take, like let's say you had $1 million house and they'll put it on the market for like 1.6. And if somebody wants to pay it 1.6, then they'll move. But if somebody's like, 1.2, no, thank you, and I'll just stay in my house.
Right.
There's a difference between that and somebody coming to you and being like, $4 million. Goodbye. Like, that's different. And because in the case of both Forsberg and AJ, the players in all sports have become way more empowered than they ever have been, which I understand. And so it would be disrespectful to Philip Forsberg if you were talking to him, trying to work out a new contract, and shopping him at the same time. Like, if it got out that you were calling teams and you were saying to teams, hey, what would you give up for Forsberg? That's kind of disrespectful.
But do you not think that shopping could also be considered as, taking calls?
Well, see, this is why they want you to know that they're not taking calls. Because they can, any sort of, you're on the phone.
They're saving their asses on the other end.
But what I told you was, if the Jets call the Titans and say, what about AJ? And the Titans say, not interested. Just like if I picked up the phone and called Cincinnati and asked for Joe Burrow.
Not interested.
Not interested. Well, but then I could still go to Adam Schefter and say, well, I heard Cincinnati was in some trade talks for Joe Burrow.
Even though it was a no.
Even though no talk, and it was just no. So that's why, because of the ambiguity of it,
it can be interpreted
that's
as
why
many
they
different
want
things.
you to know that we're not even taking calls. But that's not even how taking calls works, right? Like, if Joe Douglas, the general manager of the Jets, and what's weird about the NFL, it's very politicky. And a buddy of mine is the athletic director at Louisville, and he just hired the basketball coach there. And he was laughing about the fact that, like, people were tracking flights and people were, like, trying it. He flew a commercial flight from Louisville to New York to go interview Kenny Payne, the assistant of the Knicks, who's now the head coach.
Right.
He literally flew a commercial flight.
Sneaky.
Like, he was just like, he's like,
he's hiding in plain
he's
sight
like,
at that point.
I didn't wear any U of L gear. And since everybody's wearing masks at the airport, like, it doesn't really matter. But no, I wasn't trying to hide that I was in New York. Like, I just flew to New York. But because everybody thinks that they have to be also secretive all the time about everything, it's like now so people in the NFL, they don't even like talk. So it's like John Robinson won't talk to Joe Douglas about this, but Monty Ossenfort will talk to Johnny Joe at the Jets about it. And that's how they do this kind of stuff. But again, just in reality, it would be nonsensical. There is not a player on the Titans roster that I would not trade for Joe Burrow. There is not a player on the Titans roster that is unmovable. That includes Simmons, that includes Henry, and that certainly includes A.J. Brown. So when I hear that the Titans are not even taking calls, again, I know it's negotiating through the media, but I also think that sense of that they're not taking calls is so nonsensical. It's such bullcrap. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Todd McShay's got a new mock draft out that I got some thoughts on, but we will get to your phones on this. 615-737-1025. Here on Stillman and Company, we are live from Bridgestone Arena. It's ESPN 1025 The Game, and we're streaming on the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Philip Forsberg. And this is Smashville.
Forsberg a shot, broken up in front, give it back to Forsberg, and here come the Habs.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Gary Ashton here. Most people in Nashville know me as the don't sell without the intel and the guaranteed offer guy. But despite my accent, I'm also 100% guaranteed Nashville. I'm a guaranteed musician, a guaranteed dog lover, and you're also guaranteed to see me at every Titans and Preds game. Guaranteed offer means the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage will sell your house for top dollar with no cleaning, staging, showings, or open houses, and give you up to 90 days to close. So there's plenty of time to find your next home. Guaranteed Nashville means my team lives here and loves it here. We've served Nashville for over 20 years, and we're passionate about helping the people we call neighbors and friends, which is why we've had a long-standing tradition of donating to the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. If you're thinking about a guaranteed offer, get the only one that's guaranteed Nashville. Request a no-obligation offer by calling 615-301-1650 or go to GaryAshton.com today. Remember, Gary Ashton, guaranteed Nashville.
Now's the time to get the Kubota Z200 mower. It's built to cut quickly and like a pro, so you can get the zero-turn agility and effortless precision you need to turn your lawn into a work of art. Right now, get the Kubota Z200 mower for 0 down, 0% APR for 36 months, now through June 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
2 locations to serve you, Columbia Kubota or Franklin Kubota. Visit us online at ColumbiaKubota.com or FranklinKubota.com.
Tune in to ESPN 102.5 The Game every Tuesday afternoon at 4:30 for ESPN's Trevor Maddich joining me, Jared Stillman, on Stillman & Company as we dive deep into the college football world and all the latest from the SEC. It's all brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
It's Nashville Sounds Baseball Opening Day. Get to First Horizon Park to kick off the season at a pregame block party with live music, tons of family-friendly activities, and food trucks. First pitch is at 6:35 as the team starts the season against the Durham Bulls. Grab tickets today at NashvilleSounds.com.
Has she seen an engagement ring she really loves? A unique look from a top-notch designer? You won't find it at just any store, but you will at Genesis Diamonds.
At Genesis Diamonds, we work with the most sought-after designers in this country. We are proud to feature lines like Tacori, Baraggio, Kirk Cara, Henry Dawsey, A. Jaffe, Jeff Cooper, Gabriel, and many more.
Since other jewelers can't get these designers, David says beware of knockoffs.
Often stores will resort to copying or knocking off a designer ring just to compete with Genesis. And oftentimes, you will actually pay the same, if not more, for that fake.
Why risk it? Genesis has the real deal. Unique, handcrafted, cutting-edge designs and award-winning craftsmanship.
So not only will you get the exact product you wish with the brand you trust, but at a price that you can afford.
Get her the ring of her dreams at Genesis Diamonds.
Every girl wants a designer ring. They don't want Joe in the back room to make a copy. They want the real thing.
Continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
It's time to return to Hit City.
Driven in the air, high and deep left field. That's gone!
Your Nashville Sounds open their season with a series against the Durham Bulls.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Sounds win.
Coverage starts at 6:20 on your home for Nashville Sounds baseball.
ESPN
94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, I'm Gary Smith, head coach of Nashville SC. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
How did A.J. Brown name get lumped into DK Metcalf?
Yeah, well, it's because he's also Deebo Samuel, McLaurin from Washington. These are really good receivers who are entering the final year of their rookie deal. And what has happened here, we've seen a change the way the NFL does business. The wide receiver contracts have gotten so big in recent weeks with Devontae Adams and then Tyreek Hill. We've seen these massive contracts, so it's changed the marketplace. And a team like Tennessee, I totally agree with you. I mean, both teams should re-sign their guys. I mean, Metcalf should stay in Seattle and Brown should stay in Tennessee. But I know from talking to people around the league, they look at Tennessee and they see they only have a couple of $1 million in cap room. And they think that, that's kind of interesting. Are they going to be able to afford, A.J. Brown? Now, I mean, chances are nothing is going to happen and these players will end up staying where they are. But it does make for interesting fodder, and I know for a fact that from talking to people around the Jets that these are situations that they're monitoring, as all teams are that need a wide receiver. So we'll know the answer to the questions, I think, by April 28th.
So Caroline Fenton has been here for 1 year exactly.
Yes.
And there are now 2 times where somebody has said something that was a major reactive story was just fodder that they started. That was Rich Cimini, who covers the Jets for ESPN, who has started all the A.J. Brown rumors. And you heard at the end saying, like, it's just fodder. And it's like, dude, you started it.
And you're a reporter.
Like, you started the fodder.
Tom Brady
Brady's the
is
other one.
allowed to say that was just fodder because that's Brady. You cannot be a team reporter and say, we're just gabbing. We're just going back and forth, just gossiping.
By the way, I have read the new Brady Belichick book. It was 19 hours to listen to on Audible. And I was like, I think I'd rather read it. So I read it, and I'm sure Caroline and Ian have enjoyed getting highlighted passages from me.
I have appreciated
from
that
the
very
Brady
much.
Belichick book. You didn't respond, by the way, to the Jerry Jones one I sent you.
Well, I thought it was fun. I laughed and I didn't respond. I
There you go.
apologize. But I hope you know that I do appreciate them and keep them coming.
But I finished the book. But the truth is that MFer comment that I asked Brady about at training camp when I was like, is Tannehill the MFer? And Brady was like, it's just fodder. It is 100% Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, after reading the book, it is 100% Jimmy. But that's neither here nor there.
But I loved Ian's response to your passage that you sent. And Ian said, did you just say MFer?
Yeah, Brady. But again, Rich Cimini is saying, like, it's interesting fodder. Dude, you're the one who said it. And this is what I love. How much flack did I get for the Aaron Rodgers stuff?
A lot.
Like, when Aaron Rodgers decided to go back to Green Bay, I had freaking radio hosts in Milwaukee sending me videos being like, what do you think now? Well, and it's like, dude, I just reported the facts. Like, when I reported the facts, Pat McAfee asked A.J. Hawk on the Pat McAfee show about the facts. And McAfee and Hawk was like, well, I mean, he's not lying, and then got mad about it. But it didn't matter that he got mad about it. He was telling the truth. And it just gets me. Derek asked the best question in that entire thing when he said, like, so how did A.J.'s name get mentioned in there? He's like, well, Terry McLaurin and all these other receivers, Debo, let's include them. It's interesting fodder. It's like, dude, you started the rumor. It's amazing. It's amazing. This is amazing. And you know what I'm convinced of through all this?
What?
How much of this is the Jets just getting out there after Tyreek Hill didn't want to go there? How much of it is, hey, Jets fans, we're trying. So it has nothing to do with AJ. It has nothing to do with the Titans. It has nothing to do with the Titans' future. It has nothing to do with J-Rob. It's just the Jets want their fans to know that they're trying because Jet fans don't have a ton of patience, and because the Jets haven't made the playoffs in 11 years, and because the Jets are a stinky organization, and Joe Douglas, who comes from the Eagles, who TD seems to like, might actually be a good executive. But the truth is, when you're a coach of the Jets or when you are a executive for the Jets, everybody thinks you are stupid until you prove otherwise because you're the Jets. And so how much of this is the Jets trying to tell the fans, guys, we're trying. We're trying. So when we draft Garrett Wilson and we draft Drake London with our first picks to give Zach Wilson weapons, you won't be crying saying it's just a rookie receiver. You'll be like, well, we tried on Tyreek Hill and we didn't get Tyreek Hill, and we tried on A.J. Brown and we didn't get A.J. Brown, and we tried on DK Metcalf and Debo Samuel, but we didn't get them. And so it's like, this has been now like 2 weeks full of crap about A.J. Brown, and deep down inside, I think it has nothing to do with A.J. Brown.
Well, look at the list of names that you just named. Tyreek Hill, DK
Hill,
Metcalf, A.J. Brown,
Debo.
Terry McLaurin.
And Terry McLaurin's a bad boy, by the way. He's a freaking good receiver.
And that's what I'm saying. Those are bad boy receivers, and those are names that any football fan would know. They're not saying, okay, hello, Miami Dolphins, we want Devontae Parker. Or, hey, New England Patriots, we want N'Keal Harry.
Yeah.
Because
they ain't going after Demir Bird.
Those aren't sexy wide receiver names.
Russell
I think
Gage.
it's so much of it is to say, look, Jets fans, we're trying to get you a nice, shiny, pretty little wide receiver.
It's like picking
and
up
it's
the
not
phone.
our fault if they don't want our 10th overall pick.
Picking up the phone, calling Tampa Bay. We'd like Scotty Miller.
Like, they're not doing that. Like, if they really do genuinely want a wide receiver, then they'll just go get him. They'll get Scotty Miller. They'll get N'Keal Harry.
By the way,
but that's not it. That's not what they're going for. They just want Jets fans to be interested in their football team because there's not much interesting going on with the Jets right now.
Scotty Miller would be a good Titan. I'm just saying. 615-737-1025 phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So I've now, addressed the rumors, expanded on the rumors, debunked the rumors,
maybe started another rumor. Scotty Miller to the Titans.
Hey, I'm all for it. What do we have in our text line?
One texter texts in and says, due to the man who was under center, the Titans are either a 10-7 team with AJ or a 7-10 team without him. Either way, they're not Super Bowl bound. They would be stupid to not ship AJ down the road for great draft capital, a no-brainer.
I mean, I hear you. The question, and this is what I said about the Texans trading Deshaun Watson, which I'm not sure that they got out of this. What's the path to the quarterback? Like, is an AJ trade, is there a path to the quarterback with an AJ Brown trade? I brought up the Jets. If they trade the 10th overall pick this year and the 4th overall, and their 1st overall pick next year, because we don't know where the Jets are going to be picking. And honestly, I don't know how good that quarterback class is. I don't even know how good this quarterback class is. Todd McShay's got a new mock draft. He has Kenny Pickett going 6th. And so maybe this is a better quarterback draft when the teams actually get there and decide what they want than people are letting it on to be. I have no idea about next year's draft. But let's say next year's draft is your average quarterback draft, right? Where you have like 1 or 2 good quarterbacks.
Superstars.
And 4 or 5 first rounders.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your standard quarterback draft. Well, if you've got the Jets' first round pick next year and you've got your own first round pick next year, assuming the Jets stink, which most of us are going to make that assumption, then you can be able to go up to get anywhere. So if the path to your future quarterback is by dealing A.J. Brown, then I'm not against it because at the end of the day, quarterback is more important than A.J. Brown. But that being said, if you're going to get a new quarterback down the road, isn't one thing that you'd want your new quarterback to have A.J. Brown? So that's at least a little bit of an interesting element here. But any move you make that would be involving Simmons or Brown, to me, has to give you the path to the next quarterback. Like, I'm not sure the Texans got the path to their next quarterback. Now, they may still think Davis Mills is their guy, which is something that look, he played like Dan Marino in the second half against the Titans last year. And on top of it, like, they were not interested before Deshaun Watson got in trouble, when the Jets held the 2nd overall pick, and there were talks about, could they do this for the 2nd overall pick and Darnold, and they were not interested in Darnold. Like, they were not interested in including Sam Darnold in that.
And the trade they made with Cleveland didn't involve another quarterback.
No, it didn't. And they could have brought Baker back in return.
Yeah.
Obviously, Cleveland would have given them Baker back in return. They probably could have gotten more if they were doing that. So if you're the Titans and AJ involves the 1st round pick of the Jets next year, that's at least worth discussing. And I do wonder if that's what Philadelphia did yesterday, was acquiring a pick in next year's draft to be able to give them whatever it takes to go get whoever they want if Jalen Hurts doesn't work out. But an AJ trade wouldn't, unless the Jets were to do something crazy like that, probably doesn't guarantee you your path to the quarterback. So I'm not going to look at it like, well, they're not going to win with AJ because Tannehill stinks, so move on. I don't look at it like that. I'd rather chance it and see if you can get lucky than just say move on without having a path to a future quarterback. 615-737-1025. We're back to your phones on this. 615-737-1025. Plus, one interesting element. Todd McShay's got a new mock draft out. One interesting element about the AJ rumors and these mock drafts. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red Weather Alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Storms will be clearing out this afternoon. High temperature only 64 degrees. Strong to severe storms will be possible tomorrow afternoon.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Attention veterans of Middle Tennessee. Little Guys Movers wants to put your hard-earned skills and leadership talent to work with your very own Little Guys Movers franchise. Be your own boss and build a team with standards as high as your own, and all while serving your community with the same hustle that you served your country. Use your existing 401k to invest in yourself. Financing options are available. Start a fulfilling, profitable new chapter of your life as a member of a team with 30-plus years of growth and good times at littleguysfranchise.com. That's littleguysfranchise.com.
The 2022 Major League Soccer season is officially here, and Nashville SC's new home, Geodis Park, is nearly complete. Don't miss Nashville SC's home opener May 1st. Secure your season tickets now. Come on and grab a seat at nashvillesc.com/22ticks.
ESPN 1025 The Game and Smokeville Smoke Shop want to send you to an upcoming Nashville Predators home game. All you have to do is come into Smokeville Smoke Shop at 699 West Main Street in Hendersonville Wednesday, April 20th for their 420 blowout event and visit the game table to enter. While you're at it, be sure to stick around and take advantage of Smokeville Smoke Shop's store-wide discounts, free dab bar, as well as on-site food and dessert trucks and live music. Visit Smokeville Smoke Shop on Instagram for more.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here, and MLB opening day is finally here, and right now all customers can swing for the fences with a no-sweat same-game parlay on FanDuel Sportsbook. Just pick any MLB game and combine at least 3 bets, which could be the winner of the game, the first home run hitter, and the total score into one bet for bigger payouts. And if your bet doesn't win, FanDuel will refund you up to $10 in free bets. If you're not sure what to bet on, there's all sorts of action. Check out FanDuel's popular same-game parlays to see what most fans are betting and get in on the action. Personally, I'm keeping my eye on the Dodgers this year. Freddie Freeman's addition at first base really intrigues me. I think he has a big year, so keep him in mind with your parlays. Just make sure you do it on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's no better place to bet America's pastime than on America's #1 sportsbook. Just make sure you sign up using promo code ROB to bet your no-sweat same-game parlay today. Once again, that promo code is ROB. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
It's the official Bud Light Preds watch party as your Nashville Predators take on the Ottawa Senators this Thursday night. Puck drops at 6, but the party starts at 5:30 with all kinds of specials. See you at headquarters, Beercade, downtown Nashville on 2nd Avenue. Go Preds!
Sometimes their glass is half full.
That was unbelievable. It was the best NFL draft they've ever had.
Sometimes glass half empty.
What are we getting ourselves into here? Tough game.
And sometimes it's all about the numbers.
One win, and they've gone on this streak, and now they're at 500.
Hang out with Darren, Donick, and Chase from 10 to 2 during your workday. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
Stillman and Company is on. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
Stillman & Company live at Bridgestone Arena. Stop by Social Furniture at 5412 Charlotte Avenue in Nashville now and enter for a chance to win a pair of tickets to see the Predators take on the Chicago Blackhawks at Bridgestone Arena on Saturday, April 16th. Also, don't forget to check out their new sofas while you're there. Must be 18 to enter the contest. No purchase necessary. So one thing that bothers me about mock drafts, and there's a lot of things that bother me about a lot of things that the media does in sports, but mock drafts particularly, which are kind of this belief of, okay, what is a team's need? And so Todd McShay, who never watches the Titans, looks at the depth chart and then comes up with a team's need. Mm-hmm. And every time I'm kind of like, is that really how mock drafts work? Like, is that really how? And the answer deep down inside is probably no. But Todd McShay has a 2-round mock draft that just came out at ESPN.com. And as we talk about the rumors that seem to never go away involving A.J. Brown and the Jets, which today Diana Russini put out and said that the Titans are not shopping A.J. Brown and have not taken any calls on A.J. Brown and that they want to extend A.J. Brown. And if it comes from Diana Russini, then we feel like it probably comes from
Mike Vrabel.
Vrabel. And so I'm like looking through this mock draft from Todd McShay, and he's got the Jets with the 4th overall pick, taking Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver out of Ohio State. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then the Jets have the 10th overall pick, and they take Sauce Gardner, the corner out of Cincinnati. I saw another mock draft. Bruce Feldman has them taking Drake London, the wide receiver out of USC, with the 10th pick. And we went over that yesterday where a college coach told Bruce Feldman that he thinks that Drake London is the next Mike Evans. Well, no disrespect to A.J. Brown, but Mike Evans is better than A.J. Brown. Mm-hmm. And if all these wide receivers, we're told this is a great wide receiver draft. And if this is such a good wide receiver draft and you have the 4th overall pick and Garrett Wilson is that dude, why would you be calling about DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin? Why would you be calling about those guys? You already have a number 2 in Corey Davis, who you paid good money to. Mm-hmm. And you're going to draft your number 1. Like the Bengals weren't picking up the phone and calling people for their wide receivers last year. And they went out and drafted Jamar Chase.
And let's not forget the Jets used a second-round pick and a wide receiver in this past draft.
Yeah, they have Elijah Moore. Didn't they give Braxton Berrios their slot receiver? They gave him a lot of money. So I don't understand. Other than I think that the Jets are just total phony baloneying this. I think this is just so Jets. It is so Jets, where they are just telling Rich Cimini, hey, Rich, we're keeping our eye on DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown and Terry McLaurin and all these guys. And then Rich comes back, and it's like, well, the Titans don't have a lot of cap space. Wink, wink. And it's like, okay, well, I can write that at ESPN. And then he writes it at ESPN. Then he goes on our show or on our station and says it's fodder. And I think this is the Jets trying to tell the fans that they're trying. That when they open up next season and it's Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, or Drake London, and Corey Davis, and Elijah Moore, and Braxton Berrios, that here in Nashville, and C.J. Uzama, and Tyler Conklin, we in Nashville would be okay with it. Right now, we're okay with Robert Woods and Austin Hooper.
Right.
Okay, yeah, hey, A.J. Brown, Austin Hooper, Robert Woods. All right, there you go. Who plays slot for the Titans this year? Don't know. But okay.
But we got a certified tight end.
But in New York, they're not okay with that. They're not, New York, they're looking at what are we doing? Especially the second team in New York. They're like, what are we doing? And I think that's what's happening here. I think the Jets all these A.J. Brown rumors are all about the Jets and their relationship with their fans. I think it has nothing to do with the Titans. It has nothing to do with AJ. It has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with anything. And yet it's by far the number one story here. It's truly amazing when you think about it. It's if you're John Robinson, you're looking at this dude, why do you have to bring me into this? Which is kind of what I think the Titans thought about me when I reported the Aaron Rodgers story, which was why do we have to get drug into this? But it's just how it is. Kind of like when there's a story in the Brady book that I'm reading where there's a lot of Vrabel stuff in here that's pretty interesting, honestly, including Vrabel walking out to the field the night of the playoff game where they beat Brady's last game. And Vrabel said to one of Brady's friends as they were walking out of the tunnel, I'm guessing it's a mutual friend that probably Vrabel goes back with, and said, we're going to knock his you-know-what off. There's a lot of Vrabel. So remember the FaceTime with Edelman and Brady at the Syracuse basketball game, and Vrabel was on FaceTime, and it was like, what's this
publicly flirting with each other?
So apparently what had happened was Vrabel saw them on TV, and he texted Edelman and said, did you guys get highlights in your hair? And that's when Edelman was like, oh, screw Vrabel. We're going to FaceTime him right now. And that's how they FaceTimed him because they were sitting in the front row. Everybody behind them could see Mike Vrabel on FaceTime.
Right.
And so it became this big story, but it was all just Vrabel texting Edelman. So did you guys get highlights in your hair? And that's what led to all of it. But then, of course, that happens. And then it's like, Vrabel FaceTime Brady.
It's
going to
steamroll.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. What do we have in our
But it also still plays into that narrative of even if Vrabel wasn't calling to be like, so Tom, are you playing for the Titans next year? It still plays into that whole narrative of Tom Brady would have loved playing for Mike Vrabel, and Mike Vrabel probably would have loved coaching Tom Brady because that relationship already existed.
I think there's something about Vrabel that concerned him about coaching Brady. That it's his friend or...
Like a power struggle kind of thing?
No, more so and I planned on getting, and we'll get into this, coming up, but I get the vibe that what I've believed that Floyd was like, ha, 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 I get the vibe that the Titans knew that if they wanted Brady, they could have had Brady. And this book didn't do anything to take that away from me. And so, now the only team that it says concretely could have had Brady was San Francisco. That he called Wes Welker and told Wes Welker, who was the wide receivers coach under Kyle Shanahan, I'll come to San Francisco.
I don't think that's new to anyone.
But, that element of it's new to me.
But I mean, the concept or the idea that Brady could have gone to San Francisco if he wanted to go to San Francisco.
Right. But the fact that he called Welker and told Welker, I'll come.
Right.
That is, different to me. But I do wonder if when they talked about it, if there was a sense of, would Brady try to treat Vrabel like an equal as opposed to treating Vrabel like the coach? And considering that Brady has hated his last two coaches and gotten one fired and is probably in a roundabout long-term way going to get the other one fired, I could understand it a little bit. What do we have in our text line?
Andrew texts in and says, stop comparing A.J. Brown to Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons is the number 2 defensive tackle in the league. He's elite. A.J. is maybe the 14th best wide receiver. Good, not great.
Yeah, and when they sign contracts, they'll be very comparable.
Yes.
I mean, so this idea...
Because you can compare it to the rest of the league, but also you have to think about the value that each of those players has for the Titans. Because, yes, A.J. Brown very well could be the 14th, 15th best wide receiver in the league, but he's so valuable to the Titans.
Sure. And not only that, like I think there has to be an element of this that, Floyd used to bring up all the time, which I agree with, which is, if you were to take A.J. Brown and put him on a better passing team, then what is A.J. Brown? Like is Devontae, and I like Devontae, but is Devontae going to be the same Devontae in Green Bay with the Raiders? Because I don't know if you guys have seen the Raiders quarterback. I like him, but I don't like him as much as I like Green Bay's quarterback. And so, I think you have to have that element. It's like I was talking with someone the other day about radio hosts. And I was like, there are radio hosts that have had really good careers that aren't really all that good. And then they go outside and they try to do their own thing and it's not very good. And then there's other radio hosts that do their own thing and, they become cowherd, or they become, like all the money that Clay Travis made from selling Outkick to Fox.
Right.
And it's like, that worked out pretty well for him. So I think that, the Brady Belichick thing, right? Was it Belichick's great coaching that has led Brady to be this great? I don't know. He went to Tampa Bay and won the Super Bowl. Figured that one out.
Belichick hasn't won a Super Bowl since.
We haven't won a playoff game in 3 years. By the way, another thing that I realized from this book, Belichick.
Really?
Yeah.
And then why side with Belichick in that whole situation?
Because I think he felt like he had to. He sided with Belichick on Bledsoe, and it was the right call. And I think there's a sense when you own the team that's like, I have to side with the guy that I have put in charge to do this. I have to side with this guy. But I would say this. The Denver Broncos didn't side with the late Dan Reeves. They sided with John Elway. And then Mike Shanahan won 2 Super Bowls. I'm just saying. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Let's just get, I promised phones, and then we barely got to any phones right there. But I do want to get to last night's championship game. We'll talk about last night's championship game, then we're back to your phone. Stillman and Cup, CS 1025 again.
Take us wherever you may go.
There's going to be a whole lot of work going on.
Shoot us in anywhere, anytime.
I think he has some big play in him.
Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Now through April 14th, join a clean and spacious Planet Fitness for $1 down and only $10 a month. With tons of equipment and free fitness training, it's the perfect place for everybody to work out.
Even me, Mr. I can't sleep at night, so I keep dozing off during the day.
Especially you, Snoozy. You'll rest easier and feel fit-tacular.
Wait, how did you get in here?
Join in club or at planetfitness.com. $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime. Hurry, deal ends April 14th. See club for details.
Do you have a VA loan? In this housing market, homeowners with VA loans have access to a ton of instant cash. Willie Donick here. If you need cash for that home improvement or want to finally be credit card debt-free, how does a check for 80 or 90 grand sound right now? Loan Pronto is helping veterans every day get the money they need with a quick and easy zero-cost cash-out refi with zero closing costs. With a VA loan, it's really cool because you can access up to 100% of your home's value. Use that money to pay off all your high-interest debt or remodel your kitchen, or both. Loan Pronto's all-digital process makes it fast and easy. They're doing loans with super low APRs, and they love working with veterans. In fact, Loan Pronto does zero down purchases for veterans buying a new home. Call now to see what your options are. Call Loan Pronto at 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780. Or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Erectile dysfunction ruins sex, but it's more than that. It harms otherwise good relationships. It destroys marriages. It can cause depression and anxiety, and it can be extremely hard on a man's self-esteem. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and if you're suffering with ED, if it's affecting you, I want you to know that if you're like most men, we can treat it and get you back to the man you used to be. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we're ED experts. Our protocols have success rates as high as 90%. We've successfully treated thousands of men in the Music City, and we have a variety of treatment options and treatment combinations that could have you performing like you haven't in years. You could even last up to an hour and experience great sex again that is satisfying for both you and your partner. In treating your health, expertise matters, so make an appointment today. Your initial appointment is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
Spring into savings at Electronic Express. Get up to 40% off the latest 4K TVs from Samsung, LG, Sony, Hisense, TCL, and more. That's not all. Get huge savings in every department, like computers and gaming, smart home, housewares, mattresses, and more. Plus, save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online with free express delivery on most items. Shop locally owned and family operated at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, with Darren, Donick, and Chase middays from 10 to 2.
Talk amongst themselves. It's not a star-studded group. They're not all there.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell media station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from Bridgestone Arena, the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Basketball last night. Great game.
Great game.
Great game. You know, I mean, this is going to sound crazy, though this should not surprise anybody. I sat down on the couch last night, and I knew the game wasn't coming on until like 10:30 at night. And it did not come on until like 10:45, you know, because we had to do the anthem and everything else.
In bed watching One Shining Moment.
And so I sat on the couch after the radio show was over. I walked in the house, sat down on the couch, and I read my Brady Belichick book until it was tip-off. But I was so hooked, as I'm sure you all can imagine, by the Brady Belichick book, that I watched the game, but I was reading the Brady Belichick book. And then the game got spicy. And then I was like, Brady Belichick book's got to go away. Game's getting spicy.
And the Brady Belichick book is spicy enough.
Oh, it's spicy. And like, if you know me, like if you listen to this show and you know me, you know that like the Brady Belichick book is probably more important to me than the national championship game. But I'm watching the game last night, and I obviously have like feelings about all the big schools because we've all watched all the big schools over time. Like, but I don't really have any feelings towards Kansas or UNC. Like, I don't have any feelings towards Texas football, right? Like, if Texas football were to get good again, and they were to make it to the national championship game, and they were to play West Virginia, although they're in the same conference.
I don't think that they can do that.
Well, I mean, Georgia played Alabama.
That's true. But I don't think West Virginia is a whatever.
Okay, let's take a non-SEC school that I don't have any feelings
USC.
towards. I don't have any feelings towards USC.
Okay.
So Texas were to play USC. Like, I'd watch, and I'd be interested, and I'd care, but I wouldn't have, like, any feelings towards it. I watched last night's game. I don't really have any feelings towards North Carolina. I don't really have any feelings towards Kansas. I mean, I don't like the fact that Kansas, brazenly cheated and doesn't care about it, but I also think that the cheating rules are kind of in the rearview mirror now when it comes to college sports, so don't worry about that. I like North Carolina. I like Hubert Davis. I liked him when he was on TV with ESPN. I think Hubert Davis is a really good coach. I have really believed in this North Carolina team. Since I saw them beat Duke at Cameron Indoor, I was a big believer in this team and thought they could win the national championship. And yet when the game was over, I was sad. Like, I was sad that North Carolina didn't win last night. And again, I'm trying to figure out why. Because it's not like when Butler would go to the championship and would lose. It's like, I mean, everybody's rooting for Butler. It's tiny-ass Butler. But when it's North Carolina, I mean, it's not like the history of Carolina basketball is forever dented because they didn't win this national championship. But, like, I'm watching the game, and maybe I just find the Carolina players and coach so likable. Maybe it's that I really I have no feeling towards Bill Self. Kansas has won 2 national championships since Bill Self has been the coach. The first one, I was rooting like heck for Kansas because they were playing John Calipari in Memphis. And this was back when both cheating and paying players was bad and marijuana was bad. Like, remember when marijuana made you a bad guy?
Like Honey Badger?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this was like back in the dark ages. And so Calipari was obviously paying players back then. We all know. And he had the Memphis team, and I hated Memphis. And I don't know why. I mean, I wasn't
I still
like...
hate Memphis.
Yeah, but like the school.
Yes.
Memphis State.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I hate, like now I don't care about Memphis. Penny Hardaway, I don't care. Mm-hmm. But like I hated that Calipari team. Hated. Like with a passion. So when Kansas won on that miracle Mario Chalmers three-pointer in 2008, I was like jumping up and down off the couch as a senior in high school. I was so happy. I don't care about this. And yet when the game was over, like I was freaking sad. I was like, well, damn it, why could North Carolina not have won that game? Oh, God. And I don't know if it's because I really feel like North Carolina choked it away. I don't know if it's because of the sympathy that I have that I really felt like it was a heavyweight fight, and then when Armando Bacot rolled that ankle again, I was like, oh, no. And then they go right into the post and throw the ball to the post player, and he scores, and it's almost like, can we not just, like, pause the game, wait 2 weeks when Armando Bacot is good enough to play, and let it be mano-a-mano with North Carolina and Kansas, which I know we can't. But, like, you know, could we? You know, what? I don't know. I'm trying to get to the root of my feelings. It's like therapy, right? It's like trying to understand why you feel the way you feel.
Let's unpack all
Let's
of that.
unpack it. Let's get to it. Let's put the little things in our hands and let's talk about it and close our eyes and whatever. And let's do it. Why was I so sad last night that UNC lost? Were you sad last night that UNC lost?
I was, and I'm in the exact same place as you are, because I told you after the show yesterday, I was like, is it bad that I really just like, I mean, I'm going to watch the game. Of course, it's the national championship, but it's not like I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't wait for the national championship. And whenever North Carolina had that double-digit lead in the first, I was like, woohoo!
Oh,
like,
they're going to blow these guys
like,
out?
Yay,
Oh, my God.
Go Tar Heels.
I was going to get, so Casey Alexander, the Belmont coach, came on my SiriusXM show like a week ago. And I asked him the question about North Carolina. Because I was like, you know, I think 1 through 5, Carolina can play with anybody, which has been, I mean, that's been kind of my thesis about Carolina for the last month. And I was like, I think they can win the national championship. And Casey was like, well, I don't know about winning the national championship, but I think they have the talent to get to the Final Four. And I was like about to text Casey, like if they had run them out of the building, being like, see, good job, Casey.
And they did almost
Casey's
run
a
them
great
out of the
coach, but-
building.
I mean, I thought they were going to run them out of the building.
But I think my thing with North Carolina, and I think a lot of people, like, it sounds outrageous calling North Carolina basketball the underdog, but this entire season, they kind of have been. Like, this hasn't been, like, a marquee season for the Tar Heels.
Do you mean like this season, like November to March, or do you mean like this season, like March to March?
March to March.
Okay.
Like,
So, like for the last 6 weeks.
yes. Like, they have played this underdog role because this hasn't been a great season for North Carolina. This hasn't been a good couple of years for North Carolina. So it's almost like they played, I mean, they were an 8 seed. That's nothing special. I mean, they played this underdog role so well, and their coach is so likable. And Armando Bacot is so likable. And it's not like Kansas is unlikable. It's just I liked the fact that North Carolina, at least in my opinion, came into the tournament as a team that I didn't expect to make the Sweet 16. Much less the Elite Eight, much less the national championship. And I wanted them to do well. It's nothing against Kansas. I think I just always root for the underdog. And that's kind of what North Carolina felt like this whole season.
Ian, were you sad when North Carolina lost yesterday?
No, not really. I was just glad it was a pretty good game.
It was a good game. It was a good game.
It was a really fun game.
And I would have settled, honestly, before the game started last night. Like, if I could have had a North Carolina blowout or a good game, I would have taken a good game.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like, and
it was looking like a North Carolina blowout there for a second.
It was. You know what's crazy, though? And, like, maybe because I saw Kansas do it against Miami in the Elite Eight, I really was expecting Kansas to get back in the game.
Well, and
Like,
North Carolina gave up the big lead to Baylor.
Yeah. But see, I thought North Carolina gave up the big lead to Baylor because Brady Manek got kicked out of the game and Armando Bacot got in foul trouble. And as I've said, if Carolina has to go to the bench, they're no good. Now, they brought in that kid, Johnson, number 14 yesterday, and he kind of held his own for a little bit. But to Ian's point about the Baylor game, they really, like, when the times got tough, you know, Carolina, those rear ends, those sphincters, you know, tightened up a little bit. And I think the same thing happened yesterday. I mean, like, when they had that last shot opportunity, all R.J. Davis had to do was shot fake because the guy was already in the air. So he was trying to contest the shot thinking he had fired it off. He doesn't even have to shot fake. All he has to do is just go into him. It's 3 free throws at the end of the game, a 3-point game. And, like, they were panicking, shooting the ball with 7, like, taking threes from guys who didn't need to be taking threes with 7 seconds to go. And Manek throws the ball into the bench. And then they got lucky because Kansas stepped out of bounds. And so they got another shot at it, and they still didn't get a good look at it. And I'm like, man, like, what are we doing, guys?
It was utter panic mode in the last minute
the
of the
second
game.
Bacot got hurt, they just totally.
But did you see the video of his ankle?
Bacot?
Whenever he got hurt, when he rolled that ankle,
I did see
it was a
it.
loose board in the floor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you can see whenever he plants, I want to say his right foot, you can see the board in the floor kind of pop up a little bit.
Is that not natural?
No, on a basketball court?
I mean, for those
You think boards are just popping up all over the place?
No, but all these boards are all the same. Like every arena, you know, you get the
well, it was
court
a,
in the
it was
same
a loose
way.
board.
Yeah,
What
I'm
it looked
not
like to me.
I'm not an expert on this, but then I feel like we got cheated last night. Redo the game. Play it again.
Recount.
Play it again. I mean,
it was a good game.
All due respect to Kansas. And I have no feeling I have no feeling towards Kansas. Other than, can I tell you the one thing about Kansas that really irked me?
What?
A couple years ago, back when cheating was not good. A couple years ago, they were involved in that FBI sting that cost, like, you know, a handful of assistant coaches their jobs. And
The Christian Dawkins thing?
Yeah, we thought it was going to blow the cover
Yeah.
off of college sports, and it did nothing. And Kansas was kind of at the heart of this. And Kansas was, like, so defiant. They posted a video of Bill Self wearing an Adidas shirt because Adidas was the ones giving the money.
Right.
And, like, a money chain or whatever around his neck. And I thought, like, that was a little arrogant. And then for Midnight Madness, they had Snoop Dogg perform. And Snoop Dogg took a money gun and shot money into the crowd. And then they had, like, stripper poles on the court at Allen Fieldhouse. And, like, strippers were on the stripper poles. And so Jeff Long, the athletic director, who's the same kook who hired Bobby Petrino to be his football coach at Arkansas, Jeff Long, the athletic director, like, came out and released this, like, you know, holier than thou statement, you know, this, how dare Snoop Dogg come in here and do that, you know, and basically said in the statement that he thought that they were going to get a PG-13 performance. So then Snoop Dogg goes on Howard Stern and was asked about it, and Snoop Dogg was like, yeah, they're probably just saying that because, like, they got flack on it, but when you pay for Snoop Dogg, you're going to get Snoop Dogg. And I was like, dude, you knew when you were paying for Snoop Dogg that you were going to get Snoop Dogg. And I am not going to be mad at Snoop for the fact that you had strippers on your basketball team. Like, that is not Snoop Dogg's fault. Like, if all of a sudden, if I have a child, now by the time I have a kid, weed will probably be legal in America. But if I have a child, and I tell my child, don't smoke the marijuana, Johnny, and he's hanging out with Snoop Dogg, and he tells me that it's Snoop Dogg's fault, I'm going to be like, no.
No, it is not.
That's your fault.
You know exactly what you're getting.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Your reaction to the championship game last night, 615-737-1025. Bill Self wins his second national championship, and I do have a thought about this because I do feel like Bill Self doesn't get a lot of respect. We'll get to that next. Stillman & Company, it's ESPN 1025 The Game. We're live at Bridgestone Arena. Let me tell all the fine folks out there about joining us Thursday night for the Preds Bud Light Watch Party at Headquarters Beercade. Enjoy drink specials. Enter to win Preds tickets and watch the Predators take on the Ottawa Senators. It's the Preds Bud Light Watch Party at Headquarters Beercade, 114 2nd Avenue South downtown. Puck drop at 6 o'clock on Thursday night.
Tune in every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. for Nashville's own Jason Fitz with Jared Stillman and company. Fitz started his sports talk career right here on 102.5 The Game, and now he anchors shows for ESPN. Jason Fitz is brought to you by Blood Assurance. Give blood, give local, give life.
Tired of mosquitoes ruining your summer? Stop the bite. Go to tiredofmosquitoes.com and check out your special offer. Take back your summer. Go to tiredofmosquitoes.com.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. Being arrested doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. Being served with custody paperwork doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. It may feel that way, but if you have Amanda J. Gentry representing you, you can feel confident that you're going to have the best quality representation in all of Middle Tennessee. Amanda J. Gentry goes wherever justice demands. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Men, what if I told you that now you're able to get testosterone replacement therapy in the comfort of your own home? No more weekly trips to the doctor's office. We come to you 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Be seen by a licensed medical professional in the privacy and comfort of your own home or office. You decide. Schedule your appointment today at CoolSpringsMDformen.com.
Parman Tractor and Equipment is your one-stop tractor and equipment solution, and Middle Tennessee's Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. Rent or purchase a track loader, mini excavator, large excavators for your job site, or something in between. Parman is now hiring and seeking qualified candidates for construction equipment truck drivers, service technicians, and more. Apply at ParmanTractor.com or call 615-865-7800. Come be an employee owner with the Parman team, your Middle Tennessee Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer.
Smokeville Smoke Shop has been serving Hendersonville and Metro Nashville since 2015 and is committed to providing high-quality, hands-on, and personable customer service. Stop into Smokeville Smoke Shops in Hendersonville, Gallatin, Hermitage, and Goodlettsville to try any of their wide selection of locally sourced products and selection of top nationwide brands, including vapes, hookah, hand-blown glass, detox systems, e-juices, kratom products, leaf wraps, and much more. Visit Smokeville Smoke Shops today.
Zines First is the official sign company for 102.5 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
The sound of you doing is music to our ears. Order on the Home Depot app and get convenient delivery, so you don't have to stop doing when you need something. The Home Depot app. How doers get more done.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman and Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Love's going to be the one to take it. Puts up the shot. It's off. The game is over. And Kansas completes the biggest championship comeback all time.
Coach, down 16 at half. What changed?
I don't know, and I'd like to say it's coaching, but it had nothing to, I coached them the first half, and they just played the second half, so I didn't have anything to do with it. It's a unique group. I think we caught a break early in the second half that we got some stops, and they didn't score, so, 15 didn't become 18 or 19. It went to 9 just like that. And so, and then I think Brady get naked for a 3 to get it back to 12, and then we just kept chipping away, and we missed free throws, we missed layups, but guys just kept grinding. So it's a special group because, early in the season we couldn't guard, we couldn't rebound. We just wanted to outscore folks, and the way we won tonight was not making shots. We didn't rebound, but not making free throws and to grind like these guys did was impressive.
There you go. Bill Self wins his second national championship. And I love it whenever they put a microphone in front of the coach's face and they talk about, Coach, you guys got down, but your group was so resilient. What'd you say at halftime? What did you do, Coach, that won this game for your team? And every coach is the exact same. All the credit really has to go to the players.
Mm-hmm.
It really, the players did a great job. I'm so proud of these players.
These young men
players
worked
went
so
out
hard.
there and they didn't give in. They believed in each other and they worked hard. And every coach when they say that is thinking, I'm such a great coach Every coach is thinking that. But they're not going to say it because that's not the classy thing to do, right? Like people say the classy thing to do is to give credit to others. Now, I think sometimes, Floyd, sometimes you got to toot your own horn a little bit so that nobody, gets misconstrued about who should be getting the credit.
Sometimes you can brag on yourself.
But it looks bad to do that. You know what I mean? Like Brady will always get up there and talk about like how great the team is. We know who won them 7 Super Bowls. Right. And I don't think that Tom Brady should have to remind everybody every day that Tom Brady's great. And he doesn't. And Jordan didn't. Jordan would talk about, I want my teammates to experience this too. But it is a common occurrence where somebody has success and they don't want to brag about it. And they expect everybody else just to understand it. And sometimes they don't. And I'm looking at Bill Self. And I think about it like this. If you are 25 years old, you have an incredibly warped idea about what success, great, or Hall of Fame is truly defined as. Because you've had in your life Michael Jordan at the very beginning of it, Tom Brady throughout almost all of it, the end of Tiger Woods, and Nick Saban.
Yeah.
And so if you were to think about the last 30 years of sports, those are probably the 4 most important people because they won literally everything. Coach K, in my opinion, is the second greatest college basketball coach in the history of college basketball. And you can argue that he's the best college basketball coach because he coached in a different era than John Wooden did. And he won 5 titles. And I say 5 as like only 5, 2. When we think of like, who are the great coaches in college basketball? Let's take K out of it. Who are the great coaches in college basketball in your lifetime?
Cal's probably up there.
1 title.
Roy Williams.
2 titles.
Yeah. I honestly don't even know if I would put Bill Self, before today.
Tom Izzo, 1 title.
If Bill Self, Boeheim.
1 title.
Yeah.
Like, think about that.
They're hard to win.
Think about the NFL and quarterbacks. And this is the comparison I'm using here. Peyton Manning is the second, according to the Pro Football Reference Hall of Fame monitor. Peyton Manning is the second best quarterback in the history of the NFL, just a little bit behind Tom Brady, which I don't totally believe. I think Brady is significantly ahead of Manning, but it's their rankings, not mine. And that Manning is number 2. 2 titles. And the second one was not won in Manning's prime. That was a great defense, and Manning, essentially coached them to a championship. 2 titles for Manning. Aaron Rodgers, 1 title.
1 title.
Patrick Mahomes, 1 title. Russell Wilson, 1 title. Drew Brees, 1 title. Bill Self's got 2 titles now. He's in the same class as Jay Wright. And when you talk about Jay Wright, everybody thinks Jay Wright's a great coach. Everybody thinks Tom Izzo's a great coach. 1 title. Everybody thinks Rick Pitino's a great coach. 2 titles. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking about Bill Self and the fact that Bill Self's got 2 titles now. And I'm like, man, over the last 25 years, he's been at Kansas. Roy left after 2003. So he's been at Kansas for like 19 years, 18 years, whatever it's been. I have never looked at Bill Self on the sidelines and thought that's a great coach. Now, he wins, but it's Kansas. Everybody wins at Kansas. Just like everybody wins at North Carolina, except for, who is it? Brad Daugherty? Everybody else wins. Dean Smith won, Bill Guthridge won, Roy Williams won, Hubert Davis has won. But I'm like, man, 2 titles. Like, there's not a lot of coaches in college basketball that have 2 titles. But because Nick Saban's got 9 or whatever it is, and Michael Jordan had 6, and Tom Brady's had 7, and Tiger spent, 9 years where he didn't lose a golf tournament, it's like, oh, yeah, he's good. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. And again, I'm not a Self guy. Like, I'm not a Bill Self guy, but I mean, I think there's got to be some credit where credit is due to the success that Bill Self has had. And I would love to look it up, and I could have done this, and I probably should have, but I would love to look it up and say, okay, like, how many titles? We know that Wooden won all of his titles, but that was a different era. Ever since, like, the college basketball, in my opinion, changed when the Big East in the early 80s became like a thing, like the Dan Gavitt Big East. Since then, how many titles have all the great coaches won? How many titles did John Thompson win at Georgetown? How many titles did Raleigh Massimino win at Villanova? How many titles you can go on down the list. And I would be stunned outside of K and Dean Smith if there's a lot that have won more than 2. Billy Donovan won 2 at Florida. Yeah, I would love to see that. And then it kind of puts into perspective how good of a coach Bill Self is, which is crazy because nobody considers Bill Self a great coach. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Let's go to your phones. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Tom has been waiting patiently and is going to kick us off on the national championship game. Go ahead, Tom.
Yes, sir. I was just listening to you about that Kansas and the cheating and all that. Is that finally resolved, or is there still applications that may, apply to them?
So I think there's applications that may apply to them. Honestly,
I was kind of thinking so too, and it was kind of funny when the president of the NCAA was handing out the trophy to Bill Self. I was wondering if it maybe had a string tied to it where he'd pull it back and say "psych" or something like that.
Boy, I tell you, thank you for your call, Tom. The Kansas City Jayhawks. Did you notice that last night?
What?
Mark Emmert handed him the trophy and said the Kansas City Jayhawks.
Did he? I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The great state of Kansas.
I mean, Mark Emmert's kind of a goof. I don't know if it's been resolved or not. I know, like, in the case of Louisville, it hasn't been resolved, and there's, like, this other thing that I've never heard of, the AIRP or whatever, that they have to meet with in June. I just kind of felt like all those schools have just started ignoring the NCAA. You know what I mean? Like, what's a punishment if nobody holds you accountable to it? Right?
And I remember whenever UNC was kind of in the midst of all of those allegations as well. So
UNC, I mean, you talk about some epic cheating.
And Missouri was involved within it as well. And Missouri totally bent the knee to the NCAA. They self-imposed punishments. They fired a bunch of people, so on and so forth. And Missouri got the really bad end of the stick, postseason bans. I mean, Missouri basketball was in a really tough position for a few years. UNC was accused of just as much, if not more. UNC didn't self-report anything. And then UNC got a slap on the wrist. That was just a message that say, like, hey, if you just let these things figure out themselves, you're probably not going to get reprimanded that badly. Because Missouri thought that they were doing the right thing, and they got the short end of the stick compared to UNC. So what does the NCAA really how relevant are they now that NIL is a thing? What can the NCAA really do?
I mean, they can keep you from playing in the basketball tournament.
Yeah.
They can take your championship away.
Uh-huh.
But that's pretty much it. Apparently, Roy Williams won 3 titles.
Yes, he did.
Okay,
We have
so
a few people in the text line.
I'm trying to think.
3.
I'm thinking Roy, what? Because they lost the heartbreaker to Villanova, and then they came back the next year and won the championship, right?
I don't know.
I think that's
I
what
don't
happened.
The years are 5, 9, 17.
Yeah. Okay. So they lost the 16-1 at the heartbreaker to Villanova. The 2009 one, that was really our title that we just didn't. We just had some drama with some star players and Coach Pitino at the wrong time.
Mm-hmm.
And
we had a lot of drama with Pitino.
Oh,
a few times.
Let me tell you something about Pitino. And I love Pitino, and I think Pitino loves me. But I will say this about Rick Pitino. The only time where there was nothing to talk about was when he was on vacation in Miami. Because when he was in Louisville, he would give updates. Like, he had a blog where he'd write about the players in the blog and, like, would kind of keep it real.
Wow.
And, like, if Pitino had a bone to pick, like, he would pick that bone. And
That's
if
kind
he
of
picked that
refreshing,
bone,
honestly.
That would be a whole week of us talking about him picking that bone. And then he'd go out of town, and it'd be July, and football wouldn't have started yet. So we'd have to talk about in Louisville, Kentucky, such and such said this about Calipari. What do we think? And then, take calls on it. But, boy, every time Pitino got going on something, So Roy's won 3. But I think everybody considers Roy an all-time great coach.
Yeah.
So
and longevity, I think, is also thrown in there because you look at Boeheim, for example. I mean, he's been a coach for forever, so you're going to consider him a great because
he's got to go. By the way,
yeah,
it's
his time.
Got to go. Do you know what freaking psyched me out?
What?
Boeheim's kids play on his team.
Okay.
Like Boeheim's like 800. So when they were like, it's Buddy Boeheim on the left-hand side for a 3.
Like, how does he have a 19-year-old kid?
Yeah. I'm like, I swear to God, I thought that was his grandchild. I was like, oh,
Probably,
okay,
honestly,
so
could
his
have been.
grandkids are playing there. And I was like,
Boeheim's what, in his 70s?
His son is his 2 sons are on the team. And I'm like, what, did Boeheim have kids at like 65 years old?
Could have been like a second marriage
These
situation.
kids were born in 1999.
Wow. So they're what, 22?
Like, that means that they are 10 years younger than me. And Boeheim is like...
They're 2 years younger than me.
45 years older than me.
That's pretty crazy.
Boeheim. Like, I will say this, and I don't have kids. I'm 32. I don't have kids. Plan on having them one day. I do not plan on, like, sending my kids to college at 75 years old.
Well, I mean, I don't think you really have a choice if that's when you have kids.
No, but it like, the time of life for them to have been born will need to be before
have passed.
I'll be 75 years old. They'll be going to college. Can you imagine, like, lugging up, like, a mini fridge at 75 years old? Like that's Floyd's age.
And it's like oh, your grandpa's so cute. Yes. And it's like, no, that's my dad.
Like lugging up a mini fridge up freaking college dorm room steps.
But hey, I mean, they're your kids. You do it for them, whether you're 75 or 45.
God, no. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones. Plus, an interesting factoid about the NCAA tournament I think we all can enjoy and respect. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 6, we go behind the glass with current and former Predators players, along with coaches and broadcasters for Nashville Live.
Yost, Hal, and I were just talking about last night's game. It was a big game for us.
Presented by New Amsterdam Vodka, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, and Red Spirits and Wine on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
When it's more than just your lawn, it deserves the Kubota Z400. Get a head-turning offer on class-leading speed, agility, simple deck height adjustments, and a quality cut. When you need comfort and performance, then you need the professional-grade Kubota Z400. Right now, get the Kubota Z400 mower for 0 down, 0% APR for 36 months, or save $300. Now through June 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Come see why Coleman Tractor Company is one of the largest Kubota dealers in Middle Tennessee, with 4 locations to serve you in Paris, Clarksville, Nashville, and their new location in White House.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture, eat strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with 3-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
Realizing Geico has over 85 years of experience saving folks money and providing great customer service is like realizing there's a crumb tray on the bottom of your toaster, and you don't have to keep turning the toaster upside down to clean it.
How long has that been there? Hey, who needs some croutons?
It's something that's been right there in front of you all along, like the dedicated Geico claims team available to you in the event of an accident to get you back on the road quickly, or realizing that baby carrots are just regular carrots that have been shaved down.
I don't care. They're still cute.
It's something you can't believe you never realized before. Like how Geico's 97% customer satisfaction rating means Geico is committed to providing the best service for their customers. Or how you can peel the top layer of tape off a lint roller and there's a fresh layer underneath.
Marcy, wait till you hear about the lint roller.
You mean how the handle is reusable?
Wait, what?
Trust. It's just one of the many reasons to switch to Geico. They're all right there in front of you.
For years, you've known Genesis as the premier jeweler here, where you can always find the most sought-after brands in fashion and bridal jewelry. Genesis carries the best of the best, brands that others aren't even allowed to carry. But now, Genesis takes it to a whole new level with a spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes. If you've ever dreamed of owning the world's most revered brand, you owe it to yourself to get to Genesis now and see watches people wait years to get. Luxury pre-owned Rolex Submariners, Hulks, Daytonas, Batmans, and so many others. We've scoured the country hand-selecting only the best for our showcases. The most popular models, the most well-cared for, the ones most in demand. So don't wait any longer. Reward yourself or someone you love today with a luxury pre-owned Rolex from Genesis. It's just another way Genesis Diamonds does whatever it takes to bring you only the world's best. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's happening in Nashville? This is Scott Van Pelt. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Stillman and Company, we are live at Bridgestone Arena. Tomorrow night, Preds fans join us for Smashville Live on 1025 The Game. Smashville Live airs on Wednesdays during the Preds season from 6 to 7, featuring Preds players, former players, and other special guests. You can watch the show via 1025 The Game's Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Be sure to join us for Smashville Live, brought to you by New Amsterdam Vodka, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, and Red Spirits and Wine in Bellevue. So we'll get to your thoughts on the championship game last night. I do want to pass this along, though, which I like this. Yes, it matters to me probably more than it matters to you all, but it matters to me, and I think it does matter to you all. And I think you all can enjoy this and can clap for it and can celebrate it and not get mad about it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know.
So the NCAA Women's National Championship between Connecticut and South Carolina drew 4.85 million viewers. So that's basically the equivalent of a Tucker Carlson show, which is the number one show on cable television. So it, 4.85 million viewers according to ESPN. It peaked at 5.91 million viewers and was the most watched women's championship since 2004, an 18% increase from last year in a game that literally went down to the wire, and a 30% increase from 2019. Now, I'm not going to go on and on and on about how great the women's game is, but the one thing I will say about that stat that I think matters to me is I do feel like the women's game has never been more respected than it is now. And this is from somebody who worked in the women's game 15 years ago. And, 10 years ago was when I left the women's game. But I always, I was an AP voter in women's basketball, and I've always stayed connected. And obviously I went to the games Friday night.
Yeah.
And what I think has happened, like when I got into women's basketball, it was fun for me. And I knew that if people watched, that they would kind of get hooked into it. But it's hard to say, hey, you got to watch and then you'll get hooked into it. It's always hard to say that. Like, you just need to be worth watching to begin with. But what I think women's basketball has done, where they've taken a really big step, is that, like, when I first got in it, like, there was a lot of, they don't even make layups. It's not good to watch. It's boring. It's who cares? There's nobody in the crowd. Like, whatever. And while I knew that that wasn't how I felt, I knew that there was probably some truth to that. I don't think that the game has ever been more competitive than it is now, where, I know a 1 seed just won the championship, but this was a team that had lost a couple times during the year. I mean, I thought we played them close, at South Carolina. I thought it was a close game Friday night. I mean, you've got great finishes, a lot of competition. And when you look at the NIL money, like, these women that play college basketball, like, they're freaking popular.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think, like, that's a big deal, is that people, I think with a lot of things, when it comes to, like, being more diverse, whether it's, incorporating females, incorporating minorities, when it's something like that, I feel like there's an element of society that kind of gets really upset when they feel like it's forced upon them. Like, it's like, well, they hired somebody because they felt like they had to check a box. I don't think women's basketball is more popular because anybody has made you want to watch women's basketball more. I just think the game's a lot more fun. I think it's a lot more interesting. I think it's good to watch on television. I really, and I think a great example of this was the Belmont, Tennessee game, because 15 years ago, Belmont, Tennessee, that never in the second round, that never would have been a game. And now you got this small school in Nashville, Tennessee. No disrespect to Belmont. It's a great program. But, I mean, they are in Thompson Bowling Arena, which my team, when I was at Louisville, we went there one time. I mean, there's a reason why Tennessee doesn't lose men's games at Thompson Bowling Arena. It's impossible to win there. And Belmont's a free throw away from winning that game. And I think about this because it's like women's basketball earned this. It wasn't like it was given to them. It wasn't like, we need to promote women's basketball. We would need people to. It was just like, yeah, let's put it on because people watch. And I think that's pretty cool. Like, I think that's a really good sign for women's basketball. And honestly, I think women's basketball is a good game. And I think it's a much better game. So when you see, like, the ratings increases and the NIL money that's going to all these women, good for women's basketball. Let's get to your thoughts on the championship game. 615-737-1025. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
One texter texts in and says, Hubert Davis is so likable. That's why I was pulling for UNC.
I do like Hubert Davis. I always liked Hubert Davis. There was a one commercial when he was on ESPN that I loved. And this was when, College Game Day was very popular for football.
Yeah.
But it was new for basketball. And so I think the crew was Hubert Davis, Digger Phelps, the old Notre Dame coach, Jay Billis, and I think there was somebody else there.
Was Reese Davis
Reese
there
was
at that
the
point?
host.
Yeah.
And but I think there was one other analyst. And I loved this because they were kind of trying to promote that they were going to be on campus, like all these other, like College Game Days on campus.
Right.
And they were in the cafeteria at UNC. And Jay Billis sits down and he's like, why is everybody so quiet? Why won't anyone talk to me? And Hubert Davis leans over and goes, I don't know, Duke boy. And it was like, coming College Game Day, coming to campus, and this Digger Phelps. And I thought Hubert Davis was so likable when he was on TV. And you know what I love about the Hubert Davis story is we do this a lot where it's like, this person's on TV, so let's make him head coach.
Right.
Gruden's on TV. Let's go hire Gruden to coach. Or this guy, John Lynch is on TV. Let's go hire him to be general manager. Hubert left TV to be assistant coach. And so UNC, he can coach because you saw him under Roy Williams. It wasn't like these. Let's hire Steve Nash to coach. Has he ever coached before? No, but whatever.
But everyone knows Steve Nash. Everyone likes Steve Nash.
But Hubert actually coached, which I like. I think that's the right way to go about it. What's next?
Josh texts in and says, as a Kentucky fan, I was going to be upset with any of the Final Four teams that won it all. So this championship was a great game, but a lose-lose for me. It was nice to see UNC choke like they did, even if it was to Kansas.
I will say this Final Four outside of Tennessee or Louisville being in it was the worst Final Four a Kentucky fan could have asked for.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was blue blood after blue blood after blue blood.
I'm sure they don't have any problem with Villanova. And Villanova, I think, is definitely a blue blood.
Yeah.
But, they probably had no problem with Villanova. But other than that, I mean, good God, Kansas, Duke, and North Carolina, what could be worse?
3 teams that Kentucky fans probably hate more than anything.
You know what's funny about Kentucky, too? Louisville is Kentucky's biggest rival.
Yeah.
And if you live in the eastern part of the state, where I-75 is, where you can just go right down to Knoxville, in the mountains, they hate Tennessee more than they hate Louisville.
Probably so.
Because they live closer to Tennessee fans.
Do you think Kentucky fans hate Louisville as much as Louisville hates Kentucky fans?
Yes. So I think that, I call that a one-on-one rivalry. So Vanderbilt, for instance, I used to play this video game, this college basketball video game when I was a kid, and you could pick the rivalry matchup. And so if you were Tennessee, if you were Vanderbilt and you picked rivalry, it would be Tennessee. If you were Tennessee and you picked rivalry, it would be Florida. If you were Florida and you picked rivalry, it would be Kentucky. If you were Kentucky and you picked rivalry, it would be Louisville. If you were Louisville and you picked rivalry, it would be Kentucky. So if your rival is their rival, that's a true rivalry.
Right.
Duke and Carolina.
That's
true
a rivalry.
I'm sorry, NC State, but that's a true rivalry. And so I do think that about Kentucky and Louisville. But at the same time, I think Kentucky has more enemies than we have because we've shifted conferences so much. So, we used to hate Memphis and we used to hate Cincinnati, but then, how much do we hate Memphis and Cincinnati?
Right.
And so in the ACC, we don't live by anybody. So it's hard for, who do we hate? Whereas, Tennessee has been in the SEC for forever, and they hate all the other SEC teams, and they hate the people they're close to who all happen to be
in the
SEC. 6-1. That I want to get to because I think there's starting to be a little bit of a panic here. I am not going to be doing that. Join ESPN 1025 The Game for the Music City Celebrity Golf Tournament benefiting Folds of Honor on May 16th at the Hermitage Golf Course. Put your team together and come play with athletes, musicians, and other local celebrities. Sign up at thegamenashville.com/golf.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Storms will be clearing out this afternoon. High temperature only 64 degrees. Strong to severe storms will be possible tomorrow afternoon.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
The 2022 Major League Soccer season is officially here, and the Nashville SC Stadium nearly complete. Don't miss Nashville SC's home opener May 1st. Grab a seat at nashvillesc.com/22ticks.
Spring has sprung, which means it's time to renew your home with Social Furniture. It's their Spring Fling sale, where all furniture is up to 50% off. That's right, up to 50% off on top name brands such as Serta, Sealy, Simmons, Caracol, Bernhardt, and Woodhouse. At Social Furniture, you'll find new bedroom furniture, mattresses, and sofas, all up to 50% off. Spring into Social Furniture today on Charlotte Avenue in West Nashville. Shop local, shop social. Social Furniture is a proud supporter of your Nashville Predators.
What if you could be debt-free in 3 weeks? Hey, Willie Donick here. My friends at Loan Pronto are helping people do it every day. It's Loan Pronto's debt consolidation home refi, wiping out tens of thousands in credit card debt. Listen, your home's value is way up. You can refinance now, take money out to pay off all your credit cards, eliminate PMI charges, pay off personal loans, or other high-interest debt. One local couple had over $50,000 in credit card debt. Loan Pronto did a debt consolidation refi, and even though their mortgage rate went up a tad, they cut their monthly payments by $900. Why pay 20% interest when you can consolidate it to one low payment with a mortgage APR in the threes? Homeowners who do it save an average of $800 a month. Do it now and even skip your next house payment altogether. That's what I call financial freedom. Call Loan Pronto now, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Realizing Geico's great service and licensed agents are available at your fingertips is like realizing the plastic piece that comes with your pizza isn't a tiny doll table. It's to keep the box from touching the pizza.
Hey, the pizza's stuck to the box. Where's that little plastic thing?
Dolly needed it for her tea party.
It's something that's been right there in front of you all along, like the dedicated Geico claims team available to you in the event of an accident to get you back on the road quickly, or how your smartphone charges faster when you put it on airplane mode.
Wow, what if I put it on rocket mode?
It's something you can't believe you never realized before, like how Geico's industry-leading app lets you pay your bill, file a claim, manage your policy, or summon help when you need it. Or how those holes in your shower caddy are there so you can store your shampoo bottles upside down.
Showers happen fast when you're not waiting on shampoo.
Great service. It's just one of the many reasons to switch to Geico. They're all right there in front of you.
Inside knowledge on the Titans.
Todd Downey's got his notepad out right now, just writing things down.
Inside knowledge on the Predators.
They can go right into the forecheck, and boom, you get a beautiful goal from Colton Sissons.
And then there's a team in Knoxville.
How excited should Tennessee fans be by what they've seen from Josh Heupel in year one?
Wake up and hang out with Robbie and Rexroad. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10. Brought to you by the Little Guys Movers on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
This is Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
If I were to ask you, what would you like to see something improve down the stretch in this final month of the season? Where would you go with that?
I would start with the start, our first periods. That was a lot of our calling card, I felt, for almost all the season, where we get to jump on teams, outplaying them physically, having an effect on the outcome of the game. And then the most important thing is we were scoring the first goal an awful lot, so we were playing with the lead. In these last 7 games, we have not scored the first goal. So, in a lot of cases, we've been down 2 or 3-0, 3-1 type of a situation, and that's a hard hole for anybody to get out of on a regular basis. So, I think the start is really important, and getting that first goal that would be on my wish list for tonight.
There you go. That was David Poyle. The Predators play tonight here at Bridgestone Arena against the Minnesota Wild. So I have moneypuck.com pulled up in front of me, where they go ahead and they say, all right, here's your playoff odds or percent chance of making the playoffs or anything like that. Because I had somebody, what was it, like a couple weeks ago, where I've just, ever since New Year's, I've just kind of operated under the assumption that the Predators are going to make the playoffs, and that they're probably not going to be favored in any playoff matchup that they would make. But that if they play a team like Calgary, that they have a chance to win that. And then they could play a team like Vegas or LA, and they'd have a chance to win that. And then, by the time you win a couple playoff series, everybody's all dinged up. And, some teams are more tired than other teams because they had to play 7 games in both series. And you only had to play, 5 games in one series and 4 games in another, whatever. And I kind of just figured, like, that's how this would be. Like everybody would watch the games and kind of, do whatever they want. But then, come playoff time, the Predators would be in, and we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, like Hal was talking last week about, like, these are big games, and this is a big game, and they got to get their points, and they got to. And I'm like, is it? Like, are these big games? Is it? And then somebody tweeted me over the weekend and was like, how worried are you that the Predators are not going to make the playoffs? And I was like, I'm not worried at all. And then I went to the ESPN.com playoff matchup page, and I was keeping an eye on that.
Mm-hmm.
And the Predators are 1 point clear of a playoff spot. Dallas, at the time that I looked at it, Dallas was 1 point back, and they were playing Seattle Sunday night, and they ended up losing. And I'm like, wait a minute, 1 point shy of a playoff spot, like, that's a little concerning. So I'm like, all right, what do the money pucks, odds say? 85.3% chance of making the playoffs. So are people actually worried the Predators aren't going to make the playoffs? I mean, 85. And I was not a straight A student at any juncture of my life, including college where I graduated with honors, which how I graduated with honors from Louisville, I'll never know.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But that's a solid B. 85.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel confident about 85. I'll put it to you like this. If the doctor came up to you and said, you've got an 85% chance to live, you'd feel a lot better than if the doctor came up to you and said you have a 15% chance to live.
Of course.
Okay.
I mean, that's just pretty basic math.
So I feel fine about this. And yet I feel like there's like a segment of people that are really, really, really worried about the Predators. And it is the last month of the season, and the playoffs are upcoming. And in the past, we probably would have been following this every day, freaking out one way or another. And yet I have felt no freak out at all whatsoever. And if they lose tonight, I'm not going to freak out. And if they lose on Thursday to Ottawa, I'm not going to freak out. But if they don't make the playoffs, I will freak out. This is kind of weird. Like, you know me, I'm like worry Willie over here. Like I'm like looking through the window like, oh my God, like if the Titans don't get the number 1 seed, then they have to go on the road to Buffalo and then they have to, what are they going to do? And here I am right here being like, I would prefer they get 4th place. Just don't play Colorado in the first series. I would just prefer 4th. And anything else, whatever. And yet now it's like, Jared, they may not make the playoffs. And I'm like, they'll make the playoffs. And I don't even get wrapped up in it. Like, I mean, I know that the schedule down the stretch is like pretty freaking bare knuckles. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, they're freaking good teams that the Predators are going to have to play. And I'm not worked up at all about it. Maybe I should be. What are you thinking, Ian? What do you think?
Well, I think a lot of fans are looking at kind of like the relative situation. I mean, this time last week, I want to say the Predators had like a 94% chance of making the playoffs. And here they are, what was it, 85, 83, whatever it is.
I don't feel as good about my 85.3 now that you said that last week was 94.
Yes. But I think also, like, if this time last week, the Predators had a 14% chance of making the playoffs, and now it's 85, it's like, woohoo! Preds are making the playoffs. So I think it's the relativity of it. That last week it was 93, 94. This week it's 85. Like you said, the schedule coming in the stretch isn't necessarily easy. So I think a lot of fans are looking at like the recent slip-ups and are really concerned about the playoffs, especially, I mean, it's April 4th. The Preds have, 3 weeks left in the regular season. There's not a lot of room for slip-ups. And I think a lot of fans are looking at that and are a little bit concerned.
Ian, how worried are you?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there with some of the fans on the worry level, just because of the schedule down the stretch and how, I mean, the games that they have and the opponents that they have, it's not going to be easy. Do I think they could make it? Do I think they will make it? Most likely, probably. But I think Caroline's onto a good point on, we've dropped 10%, on the money puck line here in a matter of a week. And you got Minnesota, Ottawa, Florida, Pittsburgh this week. You drop some of those, and Dallas finds a way to win, and Vegas doesn't lose, I mean, you're on the outside looking in, so it's close.
And maybe I'm just afraid to be take shamed. Right? Like if I
When have you ever been afraid to be take shamed?
Honestly, not very often.
Yeah.
But
Where's this coming from?
Maybe it's just like if I get up here and I say like, see, here what I'm doing is what Adam Vingan does every day, which is Adam Vingan second guesses. He never first guesses. So it's like if the team, like last year, the team was doing terribly and he was like hinting that they need to fire Poyle.
Right.
And when the team's doing terribly, he asked the coach if he's worried about his job. But then when they win, it's like, well, now they're winning, so, you know.
So it's fine.
Right. As if you didn't feel that way then, why would you change how you feel now? Whatever. And for me, it's like if I get all flustered about them not making the playoffs, because I will say, going back to the doctor analogy, if I were to say, hey, you have an 85% chance to live, but last week you had a 93% chance to live, I'd be like, well,
I'd be a little stressed.
Holy crap.
Like, what did I do in this past week?
But I almost feel like if I were to say, like if I were to get all flustered about the Predators not making the playoffs.
Which you will.
And then the Predators make the playoffs and the Predators win these games. Because you mentioned all these teams, like, I mean, they got to play all these great teams. I'm like, yeah, it's regular season hockey. It's like regular season baseball. Anybody can beat anybody in regular season baseball. Like one game baseball, anybody can win. Basketball in the, you know, the college championship, and we got a 16-1, a little different. Football, very different one game. And I'm like, anybody can beat one game. You know, David Riddick can start in net, and the Predators can beat the Colorado Avalanche. So that's one game. So I think they'll win some of these games.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think they'll make the playoffs. And then, you know, we'll see. But I'm like so afraid that if I make a big deal out of this, because clearly I don't think it's that big of a deal. You know, it's not that big of a deal to me.
Mm-hmm.
If I make a big deal about freaking out about them not making the playoffs, then they make the playoffs, then everyone's going to be like, F you, Stillman. And it's like, I don't feel that strongly about this one way or another. And if they don't make the playoffs, like, oh my God, if they don't make the playoffs, oh my God. Like, they may give me the week off of work if they don't make the playoffs. Because, I mean, I'm going to be.
I think you might need a second to breathe.
Ooh. Like,
but is it fair to say that if the Predators make the playoffs, it's okay, that's what we expected, and if they don't, that you're going to freak out?
Yes.
Why?
Because, like, they should make the playoffs.
They should make the playoffs, absolutely. And I'm with you that if they don't make the playoffs,
like,
you have every right to freak out.
Like, they should make the playoffs.
They should make the playoffs.
And I am expecting them to make the playoffs.
And I think it's so much of a different position this year than it is last year, because the Predators feel like they're in so much of a cush position this year than last year.
It felt like all year they were going to make the playoffs.
I mean, they were stinking it up last year. Then all of a sudden they just figured it out.
You know what will just set me off the cliff, though, about them if they don't make the playoffs? Is all the people at the beginning of the year that were like, what do you think of John Hines now? What do you think of Poyle now, Jared? And it's like, you know, I didn't say anything. I didn't say that Hines was doing great. I didn't say Poyle was doing great. I just kind of watched the games as the season developed, and now we get to the end of the season. If they don't make the playoffs, then we can have the discussions. What do I think of Hines and Poyle now? You know what I mean? And on top of it, like you and I were talking about this during the break, and this is where, like, you know, you really talk about fear-mongering your audience when it comes to this stuff. What if they don't make the playoffs and Philip Forsberg signs somewhere else as a free agent?
Oh, my God. I mean, that is absolute worst-case scenario. You lose Philip Forsberg for nothing. You have no Philip Forsberg, and you have no playoffs. What do the Predators have?
You didn't make the playoffs, and now you're a worse team. Your thoughts. So, I mean, you know, whatever. Again, they're going to make the playoffs. Like, I just want everybody out there to know. They're going to make the playoffs. And if they don't make the playoffs, then the Stillman and Company show will be very, very, very upset. Very upset. And, yeah. So what I don't want to hear is when they don't make the playoffs, I don't want to hear people say, you said they were going to make the playoffs.
They should make the playoffs.
Yeah, I've operated like that the
They
whole Megillah. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. And the Titans and the Jets, they're not talking on the phone to each other about an A.J. Brown deal, but it seems rather obvious that they are talking to each other. We'll discuss that coming up next and why here on the program. Stillman and Company FanDuel Sportsbook is my official sportsbook app. Golf's first major is a tradition unlike any other, and now you can bet on who you think will go home with the green jacket on FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get 30-1 odds on Jordan Spieth, Rory McIlroy, or Dustin Johnson to make the cut at Augusta. That's right. If any of those players make the cut, you win big. And then you're supposed to say what you like about the tournament and the golfers you like, but let me just say something. Tiger is back. And my level, and I don't think Tiger's going to win, and I hope Tiger makes the cut, but my level of caring has gone up by about 5,000% because Tiger Woods will be playing this weekend and hopefully will be playing on Sunday and hopefully will be getting a green jacket, though I think that's kind of a pipe dream. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook app and my official sportsbook app by taking a swing at betting the first major. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app, use the promo code JGM to get 30-1 odds on Jordan Spieth, Rory McIlroy, or Dustin Johnson to make the cut at Augusta. FanDuel Sportsbook, official betting operator of the PGA Tour. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. New users only must wager in a designated offer market. Max bet $5. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Your speaker at home is so smart that even Alexa knows where to find Nashville's best sports talk.
102.5 The Game is Nashville's best sports talk.
Ask Alexa to enable 102.5 The Game. Once enabled, ask Alexa to play 102.5 The Game.
Welcome to 102.5 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
The 2022 Major League Soccer season is officially here, and Nashville SC's new home, Geodis Park, is nearly complete. Don't miss Nashville SC's home opener May 1st. Secure your season tickets now. Come on and grab a seat at NashvilleSC.com/22ticks.
Pro Golf is back in Middle Tennessee. Mark your calendars for the Simmons Bank Open, May 5th through 8th. You can see the next wave of PGA Tour stars. Be sure to visit the Sand Trap at the 14th hole and check out great local food trucks including Hattie B's, Hogwood Barbecue, Dream Burger, Padrino Pops, cocktails from Jack Daniels, and try the Sand Trap Cream Ale from New Heights Brewing Company. Purchase your tickets now at SimmonsBankOpen.com.
Hey, it's Jared for TriStar Moving. If you're looking to move, you need to give my friends at TriStar Moving a call. At TriStar Moving, you'll get 5-star service throughout the entire process. Everything will be taken care of, from covering your floors, banisters, railings, front door thresholds, furniture, TVs, and more. They took great care of my move and made it as stress-free as possible. If you're looking to move, give TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit them at NashvilleMoving.org/radio and get 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
Parman Energy is your one-stop petroleum solution across all of Tennessee, offering turnkey petroleum solutions for professionals in major industries, serving trucking fleets, construction companies, industrial plants, and more. Whether a large corporation or owner-operator, Parman Energy has your diesel fuel, lubricant, DEF, and equipment needs. No matter how you're getting there, start with Parman. Visit ParmanEnergy.com for more info. Your Tennessee petroleum solution, providing totally outrageous customer service.
At Copper Branch, they live life to the fullest. Food is your energy and your life. Located in the heart of downtown Nashville, their goal is to serve you, your friends, and family quality, great-tasting, plant-based power foods. Visit Copper Branch at 601 Church Street for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with convenient and validated parking during library hours, and download their app for curbside pickup. Or come out for songwriter and live music nights several times throughout the week. To empower, energize, and feel your best, visit Copper Branch today.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell media station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Let's just give people the quick recap on the A.J. Brown New York Jets rumors. So it started off last Sunday. So not 2 days ago, but 9 days ago, when Rich Cimini, ESPN, who's covered the Jets for a long time, reported that the Jets were looking at making a trade for DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown, or Deebo Samuel. And people freaked out. I did not even know that those rumors were out there. I had no idea about that until Jim Wyatt wrote an article from the owners' meetings, an interview with John Robinson, where John Robinson said that they don't want to trade A.J. Brown. And I'm like, why would they have a whole thing on talking about trading A.J. Brown? And someone was like, oh, apparently some dude in New York said that there was going to be. I was like, oh, well, and you know me. I heard that and I was like, goody. So we went right into it. So then, like, when a rumor comes out, and it's a rumor that doesn't make a lot of sense, like, after a while, it usually kind of fades out, right? Like, it just kind of becomes like, whatever. Well, then, for this, I'm like, okay, I just assumed that it would just fade out, and then we, move on and go from there. And then on Sunday, 2 days ago, Rich Cimini put out that the Jets are still interested in A.J. Brown. And talked about that, the Titans have said they're not interested, but they're not going to have a lot of cap money, so maybe they're going to have to trade A.J. Brown. And if you're somebody who listens to this show, you know that doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care about the salary cap. And I don't really think you care about the salary cap.
No.
I think if you listen to this show, you know better than to care about the salary cap, unless you hate us and you will just want to hate listen because you hate things that we say, like the salary cap's not real.
But, you don't have to listen to us. You can look at some of the moves that have happened in the NFL recently. Bobby Wagner to the Rams.
Yeah. So, again, we know that that's not true because who cares about the cap? So, but then it came out. We talked about this a little bit yesterday about the new A.J. Brown rumors. And then Diana Russini puts out on Twitter, Diana Russini, which anytime it comes from Diana Russini, it really means that it's coming from
Mike Vrabel.
From the desk of Mike Vrabel, Diana Russini says this morning at 9 a.m. sharp on the dot.
Someone scheduled that.
I mean, not 8:57, not 9:04. Now, at 9 o'clock on the dot this morning, Diana Russini tweeted out, quote, the Titans are not shopping or taking calls on A.J. Brown per sources. GM John Robinson made it clear at the owners' meetings. They are currently working towards keeping Brown a Titan for the long term. I'm told this has not changed. Now, again, I don't know how you cannot take calls on somebody. You know what I mean? Like, if you call me and you say, hey, I'm interested in buying your car. Well, if you call me, I'm just going to answer the phone. Hello? And then it's like, hey, would you be interested in selling your car? Well, now I just took a call on someone buying my car.
Even though it wasn't a conversation.
Right. So if John Robinson's phone lights up and it's Joe Douglas, the general manager of the Jets.
Is he just
I mean, he could be calling wanting to trade Zach Wilson for Ryan Tannehill. You know what? You got to take that call, don't you? So
Zach Wilson for Ryan Tannehill to your phones.
That doesn't make any sense. So what's happened here is what we've learned, and we've been over this, is that the Jets are not talking to the Titans about an A.J. Brown deal, and the Titans are not talking to the Jets saying they're not interested in trading A.J. Brown, but they really are talking to each other. The Jets are talking to the Titans via Rich Cimini, and we're all hearing it. And the Titans are talking to the Jets last week in the Jim Wyatt article on the team's website, this week via Diana Russini. And what they're telling the Jets is, we're not interested in trading A.J. Brown. So when Rich Cimini says the Jets are interested in DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel, or A.J. Brown, that's like saying, hey, Titans, Niners, Seahawks, call me. You know, hey, call me. And nobody called them because they're not interested in trading these wide receivers. And so then the Jets probably heard from the Seahawks, hell no. And they probably heard from the 49ers, absolutely not. And the Titans just did their thing through the media. And they were like, oh, maybe we could try to see if this could work out for us one way or another. And so they kind of pushed the envelope a little bit further. And Cimini included in his latest post yesterday at ESPN, he included the fact that the 10th overall pick could be in play here, which, again,
That's
is
a very strategic message.
It's talking to the Titans, not talking to them. They're not actually talking to the Titans, but their message is to
the Titans.
The Titans of, hey, 10th overall play could be picked for A.J. Brown. And the Titans are telling, the Jets today via Diana Rossini that we're not interested. That's what the Titans are saying. And so I've only come up with two reasons, because it seems like really petty, right? It seems like very high schoolish, right?
It's like dating almost. It's like middle school dating.
But it's worse.
Yes.
And
because it's grown men.
And so I've come up with two reasons that this is happening. Number one, I think the Jets' reputation for stupidity is so high that the Titans simply do not trust them to be able to pick up the phone and call the Jets and say that they're not interested. So the plausible deniability of we're not shopping A.J. Brown, we're not even taking calls, is if we pick up the phone and call the Jets and tell the Jets, hey, guys, we're not interested. Well, what if we offer the 10th overall pick and our first next year and our second next year and Braxton Berrios and a deal you can't refuse? The Titans are so afraid, and we talked about this off the air and on the air yesterday about Matt Ryan. They're so afraid of AJ thinking that they're actually trying to trade him that they don't even want to initiate or even be involved in a phone call with the Jets because they don't trust the Jets because of the reputation that the Jets have for being stupid. And that I understand, that the Jets would get off the phone with the Titans and dial up Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport and say, we just talked to the Titans about A.J. Brown. And then that being a whole freaking forest fire that the Titans would have to put out. So I understand that. The other thing, I wonder if the Jets are looking to trade for somebody else.
That this is all just kind of a ploy?
Yes. That when the message in the Samini article was, hey, Seahawks, Titans, 49ers, call us. Knowing that those three teams aren't going to call because those three teams like their wide receivers, but almost as a message to another team that has a receiver of call us.
That we're willing to deal the 10th overall pick. And although...
Yeah, but they're not going to deal the 10th overall pick for someone who's not one of those three guys.
Unless they are.
No. They're not dealing the 10th overall pick for Terry McLaurin.
Not Terry McLaurin.
But what I'm saying is if there's
but
a
there
lower level guy.
There are more solid wide receivers.
Right, if there's a lower level guy and, you might be a little unhappy, go ahead and call the Jets. Jets might be interested.
They're in the market.
And then the third thing about this, why I think the Jets are doing this, which is I think also the obvious thing, is the Jets are trying to tell the fans that they're going after a big name without actually going after the big name when they plan on getting the wide receiver they really want in the draft. So instead of the Jets being like, we swung and missed on Tyreek Hill and the best we're doing is Drake London, that instead of that, it's like, guys, we tried. We tried on Tyreek. We tried on DK. We tried on Debo. We tried on AJ. So that's why I think they're talking to one another without actually picking up the phone and having a conversation. And I think the Titans are so afraid of the Jets' stupidity and selfishness that I'm not sure the Titans trust the Jets. And I totally understand the Titans not trusting the Jets. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones on this. Plus, the most damning element of the A.J. Brown rumors that I still can't get over. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company right here on ESPN 1025 Game. Let me tell all the fine folks out there that later this hour we'll be giving away tickets to something pretty cool. So be excited about that. And that the Sounds. Tune in for Sounds Baseball tonight on ESPN 94.9 as the Sounds take on the Durham Bulls. The AAA affiliate of the Tampa Bay Rays at First Horizon Park. Pregame show with Jeff Him at 6:20. First pitch at 6:35. And yes, I know it looks a little icky out there, but I have talked to the Sounds. The tarp is off the field and opening day, play ball.
That's what I love to hear.
Sounds Baseball on ESPN 94.9 presented by 312 Pizza, Farm Bureau Health Plans, Spirited Hive, and Days Delta 8.
Every Friday at 8:30 on Robbie and Rex Show, we talk with the legend, Terry Chris, about all things Nashville Predators, presented by Copper Branch on ESPN 1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
When it comes to your credit card, Discover believes in having real people available 24/7 to help answer your questions. Discover. Exceptionally common sense.
This segment of ESPN 1025 The Game is brought to you by Train Heating and Cooling Systems. Tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together. Visit traininfo.com to find your local independent train dealer. Traininfo.com. It's hard to stop a train.
Most shoppers today fall into one of two categories. You could be like Dave, who settles for nothing but the finest.
I drive only European luxury sedans, wear the finest Italian leather shoes. My shirts are custom made, and I expect white glove service from those I do business with. I appreciate world-class brands, and at this point in my life, I just don't want to compromise on quality, no matter what I buy.
Or you might be like Steve, whose goal is to always get the best deal.
I'm frugal. I'm all about finding value. I want the best price, and I don't mind going out of my way to get it. I work hard for my money. I just want to make sure when I buy something, I can have confidence in knowing I'm not overpaying for it. Stop being cheap. It's being smart.
You never see these two guys in the same store. Except for one.
That's why I shop at Genesis Diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds is that rare shopping experience where you can have it all. Uncompromising luxury and unbeatable value. Exceptional service and the guaranteed best price in America. A premium experience and a smart purchase. This is where the best of all worlds come together. Genesis Diamonds, voted best jewelry store year after year. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Bank of England Mortgage has been helping Americans live the dream of home ownership for over 100 years. Since their humble beginnings in England, Arkansas, they've gone from a community bank to a nationwide mortgage lender. BOE delivers innovative mortgage products with superior customer service and the most knowledgeable loan officers in Nashville. Find your nearest location in Middle Tennessee at BOE1214.com or call 615-823-1215. Bank of England Mortgage is a division of Bank of England Mortgage. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, NMLS 418-481.
Smokeville Smoke Shop in Hendersonville wants to invite you, your friends, and family to their huge 420 blowout event. Live music, on-site food and dessert trucks, discounts store-wide, and a free dab bar. Smokeville Smoke Shop's 420 event will be held at their flagship store located at 699 West Main Street in Hendersonville on Wednesday, April 20th. Visit them on Instagram at Smokeville Smoke Shop for more event details and to take advantage of additional special offers. Smokeville Smoke Shop for all your smoking needs.
Trying to find a new home right now is next to impossible. Very little inventory, prices are crazy high, rates are moving up. Here's a better idea. Let my friends at Loan Pronto refinance your current home, turn all that equity you have into cash, and totally transform your house. A new kitchen, new bathroom, a pool. Think about it. Your home value is up. Instead of wasting all that on an overpriced new house, convert that equity into cash for a home makeover. One local couple did it and got $200,000 out. They added new hardwoods, an outdoor living space, a swimming pool with spa and all new cabinets and appliances, plus a home office. Now they have their dream home, and they never had to move. Call Loan Pronto. Ask about their home improvement refi. Give your home a total makeover and do it now. You can even skip your next house payment in the process. Call now, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval.
Interact with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Seltzerland is turning Nashville into a hard seltzer paradise on Saturday, April 30th at Riverside Golf Links. Enjoy this one-of-a-kind immersive experience as you spend the day tasting over 100 unique hard seltzers, indulge in mouth-watering munchies, tons of seltzer swag, and bust out the gram for the most Insta-worthy moments. Seltzerland has rounded up the best hard seltzer brands in the land for one epic day dedicated to the bubbly brew everyone can't get enough of. Go to thegamenashville.com/contest to enter for your chance to win tickets to Seltzerland. Exciting. So the A.J. Brown Jets rumors will not go away. And I do love that. I love the people in town. Joe. I love the people in town that are like, I just think these rumors are ridiculous. I think this is, whatever.
That's fine to think that.
But
you cannot dismiss them.
It is wild to me how people, it feels like, get offended by rumors sometimes. Especially when they come from me. But it's crazy to me. But here's the most absurd element of the A.J. Brown Jets rumors that have all come over the last 2 weeks from Rich Cimini, who covers the Jets in New York. And that is what he said about the rumors today on Darren Donick and Chase. And again, remember, he's the one who started the rumors.
How did A.J. Brown name
get lumped into DK Metcalf.
Yeah, well, it's because he's also Deebo Samuel, McLaurin from Washington. These are really good receivers who are entering the final year of their rookie deal. And what has happened here, we've seen a change the way the NFL does business. The wide receiver contracts have gotten so big in recent weeks with Devontae Adams and then Tyreek Hill. We've seen these massive contracts, so it's changed the marketplace. And a team like Tennessee, I totally agree with you. I mean, both teams should re-sign their guys. I mean, Metcalf should stay in Seattle and Brown should stay in Tennessee. But I know from talking to people.
Just pause it right now. So, Derek asked a great question. How did AJ and DK's name get involved in this? And again, this is the guy who put out the rumor. And he's like, well, and then also think about Terry McLaurin, who have you heard about Terry McLaurin before this, about this discussion with the Jets?
Not a single word.
Okay.
Nor Deebo.
And I think Deebo was in the first iteration of the rumors last week, but not, I mean, again, he's like, and I think that they should sign him. And that's an Adam Schefter trick. When you don't have any news to report, you turn into an opinionist, where it's like, Adam, what's the latest with Aaron Rodgers? Well, I've checked in, and a lot of people don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. But you have to think, Greeny, that Aaron Rodgers is going to want to get a new contract that way. No, Adam. That's not what I asked, Adam. That's not your job. You are not Skip Bayless.
Also, duh. Like, for Rich Media to say, I think that they should sign two of the better wide receivers in the league. Duh.
But again, like, that's not what you're reporting, bro. We're asking about the reporting. And he's sitting here saying, like, now I think these teams should sign. No one asked you, Rich. Please continue.
Metcalf should stay in Seattle, and Brown should stay in Tennessee. But I know from talking to people around the league, they look at Tennessee and they see they only have a couple of $1 million in cap room, and they think that, that's kind of interesting. Are they going to be able to afford, AJ?
Talking to people around the league? How many people around the league is the Jets reporter talking to?
That's a question.
And again, how many people around the league actually believe in the salary cap? Media people believe in the salary cap. Fans believe in the salary cap. Like, I remember when the guy who runs the website, SpotTrack, tweeted out that the cap's real, but it's definitely maneuverable. And Joe Rexrode was like, see, Jared? See, he says it's real.
His livelihood depends on
I'm like,
cap.
that's his website. Like, his whole website is for people to go there and be like, oh, well, we don't have $8 million, but if we can convert this to signing bonus, then we can give this guy. Like, that's the guy's whole website. Of course, he's not going to say the cap's fake, but the cap's fake. And so it's like, well, people around the league looked at the Titans and said, well, I mean, how are they going to have the I mean, like, that's what we're writing on ESPN.com about? That doesn't seem to add up. Continue, please.
See, they only have a couple of $1 million in cap room, and they think that, that's kind of interesting. Are they going to be able to afford, A.J. Brown? Now, I mean, chances are nothing is going to happen, and these players will end up staying where they are. But it does make for interesting fodder, and I know for a fact that from talking to people around the Jets that these are situations that they're monitoring, as all teams are that need a wide receiver. So we'll know the answer to the questions, I think, by April 28th.
I mean, what an admission from the guy that's like, yeah, it's bullcrap. Like, so the guy is putting out the rumor. The guy is asked to explain the rumor, and the guy's like, yeah, it's bullcrap. Right? Like, isn't that the end of it when he's like, I just know from talking to people with the Jets that they're keeping an eye on it, but yeah, it's fodder. Like, isn't that like, yeah, it's not.
But
it's not real.
Don't all of these deals kind of start with fodder?
Well, it all starts with gossip. That's what it is. They just have the power to gossip about it. Like they have the power to do something about it on top of gossip. That's how it all starts. I'm reading the Brady Belichick book with Seth Wickersham. You want to know how the Buccaneers got Tom Brady? They sat there in the office and said, what the hell? Let's call. They called Don Yee. Don Yee said, it's a good thing you called. Like, that's what they did. Tampa Bay thought they had no chance at getting Tom Brady. And they picked up the phone and thought, what the hell? And they called. And that's how they got Tom Brady. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And I again, like, I love this though, right? Because Cimini is like a respected reporter.
Yeah.
And I don't really know much about him other than the fact that I see on SportsCenter all the time. It's like, Rich Cimini reports. That's all I know about it. Doesn't that just sound like everything Joe Rexrode and Willie Donick hate?
Like reporters putting out stuff that isn't 100% have like a
doesn't
accuracy
that
to
just sound like everything? That every time that Joe gets on his media high horse and starts getting mad about is like that, like unsubstantiated gossip being discussion points.
But if that goes against, the reporter code, then
call him out.
Then, but also,
if you would call me
why,
out over
why
it,
is Rich
call him
Cimini
out.
taking steps back? Because he puts it out there.
Because he knows it's bullcrap.
But is it?
Well, again, what's the
He
job
puts
of
it out there and then he steps back whenever he's in national radio and saying,
what's the job of a reporter?
To report.
Okay. What if the Jets told him? What he's reported.
Uh-huh.
So think about it like this. If Adam Schefter's on all these TV shows, right?
Yes.
So if they have a Mike Greenberg show, Get Up, and it's like, Shefty, we need you on at 8 o'clock this morning. Shefty, what's the latest? I don't know.
That's not acceptable.
He's not going to make $10 million a year like he just signed for. So Shefty's going to have to find something. And in this case, with Rich Cimini, it's like, it's all about the scoops. They want you to have the scoops. They want you to be the person they bring in. They want, and I know this is going to sound crazy, and I thought TD, explained this pretty well. When we put out the Aaron Rodgers buying a house in Williamson County, Aaron Rodgers open to joining the Titans, which A.J. Hawk confirmed on the Pat McAfee show was true. And a week later, TD reported that the Titans did not view Aaron Rodgers as an option at the time. And we asked TD about that. And TD said that, he texted his sources and that he asked about the Rodgers thing and that the source texted back and said, LOL. What are we talking about here? But, that was TD's job. And so TD put out what, the Titans are like, dude, that's not an option for us. And so TD put it out there. And then it's like, everybody's like, according to ESPN's Teron Davenport, the Tennessee Titans are not interested in Aaron Rodgers. And it's like, that's TD's job, and TD's doing his job. And TD did not make it a bigger deal than what it was, which was talking to the Titans, basically, and the
Reporting
Titans telling them what he was being reported.
Yes.
But I think in the case of, the Jets and stuff, with the whole media wanting, a constant change all the time, there's kind of an expectation that when you cover the Jets, you're going to get some scoops now. Now, again, he knows the scoop is total bullcrap, but it's a scoop the Jets gave him, so it's his job to report it because he's a reporter. So it's all a very weird cycle, but it's a cycle that if you're going to work in this industry, you better be okay with. All I'm saying is that this is the exact kind of thing where the guy who reports it says it's bullcrap that should drive Joe Rexrode up a wall. If I did this, oh my God.
The Rex rant is all about Jared Stillman.
Oh
the next
my
morning.
God, if I did this. Oh, it wouldn't even be. I mean, we'd have to move
So
into
what can you
a
take away from
hotel
it?
for the weekend.
Is it real?
I think
I don't think it's all complete, utter bullcrap.
I think that
there's
the
some truth
Jets,
to it.
I think the Jets are trying to signal to teams that have receivers that they would be willing to trade them and that they'd be willing to trade the 10th overall pick. And I think the Titans are telling the Jets that we're not interested because we don't want AJ to think that we're interested in trading AJ. That's what I think. So I think when Cimini put out there that they would still be interested in trading AJ Brown, and that the 10th overall pick, could be in play for DK Metcalf, that was kind of like, hey, Titans, 10th overall pick, would you be interested in AJ? And that Diana Rossini's report today was basically like, hey,
10th
Jets,
overall pick isn't
you better
enough.
do better.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I ventured all of that. I did promise your phones, but we are not going to get to those right now. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Todd McShay's got a new mock draft out. An interesting selection by the Titans, which is somebody I've never heard of, except that he is one of TD's guys. We'll talk to ESPN college football analyst Trevor Matich about that next. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 1025 The Game. I promised we'd give something away, so let's go ahead and do that right now. That seltzer land that I was talking about, Yeah, be caller number 5 right now at 615-737-1025, and you're going to win a 4-pack of tickets to Seltzerland on Saturday, April 30th at the Riverside Golf Links. Seltzerland is turning Nashville into a hard seltzer paradise on Saturday, April 30th. Enjoy this one-of-a-kind, immersive experience as you spend the day tasting over 100 unique hard seltzers, indulge in mouth-watering munchies, tons of seltzer swag, and bust out the gram for the most Insta-worthy moments. Seltzerland has rounded up the best hard seltzer brands in the land for one epic day dedicated to the bubbly brew everyone can't get enough of. Good luck with that. Trevor's next, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
This is Tanner Janot, and this is Smashville.
And now down the right wing side, Tanner Janot. His shot, he scored! Tanner Janot with a shot!
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network. ESPN 1025 The Game.
Hey, it's me, Chase McCabe, and listen, you know that I love BetMGM. I use it all the time, and I talk about it all the time. They are the king of sportsbooks, and they unleash the spirit of Las Vegas with BetMGM rewards. Every time you make a wager at BetMGM, you can earn BetMGM rewards points that you can redeem for online bonus credits like free bets and risk-free tokens. If you're planning a trip to Vegas, like I am, you can also convert your BetMGM points into MGM rewards points that you can use towards dining, shows, and hotel rooms at over 20 MGM Resorts properties located on the Las Vegas Strip and nationwide. BetMGM Rewards is sports betting's premier loyalty program featuring exclusive offers, incredible experiences, and valuable perks when you wager on the BetMGM app. Sign up with BetMGM or log on today and get an even bigger piece of the action with BetMGM Rewards. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Tennessee only. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
The racing, the big one, the camping. It's all just bigger at Talladega. And with a doubleheader on Saturday and the premiere of the next-gen cars on Sunday, it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. NASCAR's biggest and baddest track is back. The Talladega NASCAR Weekend, April 23rd through the 24th. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Your ankles, feet, and knees help you walk, run, jump, and climb. Because of the stress placed on these joints, arthritis may occur, and lower limb injuries are common injuries treated by Houston Clinic Orthopedics. Their specially trained orthopedics can treat your pain non-surgically with non-inflammatory medications to reduce swelling and orthotics that support the pads, arch, or ankle joint. Your doctor may recommend a brace, custom shoes, or physical therapy as part of your treatment. Visit tn.houston.com to book an appointment for a physician to discuss your lifestyle, your goals, and determine the best treatment to fit your needs.
Winter's a bad time for your furnace to go out, but it's never a bad time to call Lee Company. Our heating and air conditioning pros are available 24/7. No heat? Don't wait. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000. Our expert technicians will diagnose the issue and fix it right the first time. When you're cold, you need someone you can count on to bring the heat. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Spring into savings at Electronic Express. Get up to 40% off the latest 4K TVs from Samsung, LG, Sony, Hisense, TCL, and more. That's not all. Get huge savings in every department like computers and gaming, smart home, housewares, mattresses, and more. Plus, save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online with free express delivery on most items. Shop locally owned and family operated at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. So much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. If not, give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 7750 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 7750. Enjoy!
It's time to return to Hit City.
Driven in the air, high and deep left field. That's gone.
Your Nashville Sounds open their season with a series against the Durham Bulls.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Sounds win.
Coverage starts at 6:20 on your home for Nashville Sounds baseball. ESPN 94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is David Poyle. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Stillman and Company. So I always love like how it's hard for me. One time when I was a young sports host, we were talking about the draft. And I remember Willie Donick saying to me, of all people, was like, how am I supposed to get into the draft? Like, they haven't even had the combine yet. And I'm like, I don't know. It's the draft. Like, that's what's great. You talk about the draft all the time. And so all these mock drafts come out before the combine. And there's all these talks about, this guy's a mid-first round pick, this guy's a high first round pick, this guy's a... Then they run 40s. And they run 40s, and all the receivers that ran fast 40s, boom, shoot up to the top. And all the wide receivers that didn't run fast 40s go down a little bit. So I remember when talking about wide receivers, and there was talk about Chris Olave in the Titans or Garrett Wilson in the Titans and Olave ran, and somebody texted me after he ran his time at the 40, and they said, no shot the Titans are getting Chris Olave. Now you look at all the mock drafts that are out, and there is no shot that the Titans are getting Chris Olave. So forget about him. And I love Chris Sanders, but Chris Sanders will mention some of the receivers. I'm like, what do you think about the receivers in the draft? They'll start talking about receivers. I'm like, the Titans aren't going to get those guys. The Titans are picking 26th. They are not going to get Drake London. So Todd McShay has a new mock draft that is out, and it is a 2-round mock draft. Now, normally that would get us excited around here, except that the Titans don't have a second-round pick because they traded Julio Jones. But the 26th overall pick for the Titans is a guy by the name of Christian Watson, a wide receiver out of North Dakota State. Have you ever heard of Christian Watson?
No, I have not.
So I have for one reason, TD. Mm-hmm. So TD loves Christian Watson, and he ran well at the combine. And I'm like, looking at this, I'm like, who the hell is Christian Watson? But then I look at all the receivers that go off the board. Treylon Burks, Arkansas, we've heard of him, 23 to Arizona. Jahan Dotson, Penn State, we've heard of him, 22 to Green Bay. It's part of the Devontae Adams trade. And so the more Jamison Williams, 17 to the Chiefs as part of their trade. So the more I get into this, the more I'm like, you know what's funny? We talk about all these wide receivers. Oh, how would you feel about the Titans drafting these guys? And the truth is, probably none of them are going to be there. Trevor Maddich joins us now in the program. Trevor, your reaction to the latest Todd McShay draft as we are less than a month away, and the fact that now the receivers that the Titans may be able to pick at 26 are guys, for the most part, we haven't even heard of. What do you think of it?
Yeah, the thing about Christian Watson is that he played at North Dakota State, like you mentioned, but he just slayed it at the combine. Right, and all the draft, postseason evaluations just was incredible. 6'4", about 210, ran extremely well, jumps out of the building, incredibly athletic, great catch radius, the kind of guy that's open when he's covered, and that's big. And the thing is, he's not nearly as good as he's going to be because he came from a program in college in North Dakota State that's not known typically for great passing quarterbacks. I mean, they mostly run the ball. Their quarterbacks mostly run the ball. I mean, Carson Wentz, guys like that are anomalies. Trey Lance was drafted in the first round out of North Dakota State by San Francisco, but he only had 1 year as a starter. And the truth of it is Trey Lance was not a polished passer at North Dakota State. He was just all potential. So you've got Christian Watson playing on a running team that didn't throw the ball with particular grace or accuracy, and still is a guy that could go in the first round. I mean, if they want to go receiver, that's the kind of a guy that has tremendous upside.
Trevor Maddich is our guest, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. Trev, do you think that this Todd McShay mock draft, now that we know Kansas City is going to look to replace Tyreek Hill with the picks they got, we know that the Packers don't have any receivers. They're going to have to go in the draft, and they got picks. That we know that Indianapolis, who doesn't have a first-round pick, they're going to have to go get receivers in the draft. Do we think that all the names that have been talked about to the Titans, whether it's Olave or Wilson or London or Burks or Dotson, or do we feel like all those guys are going to be taken earlier than originally expected because of the teams that have kind of moved themselves up or into the first round?
Yeah, I think there are teams that let outstanding wide receivers go, either by free agency or trade, because they knew they couldn't pay them, that will need to replace them, at least to keep their quarterbacks happy.
Sure.
Right? You know that, so that'll move up some wide receivers. You'll see other teams, because remember, the copycat league thing is a cliche, but it's a true cliche. And when there's a run on a certain positions in free agency in the draft, other teams tend to jump in there thinking that this will be their only chance and they better go grab a guy at that position. And a bunch of receivers are going to go in the first round. And the good thing for Tennessee from that standpoint is it'll push other people down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still, even if Christian Watson is there's a couple of offensive linemen I would rather that Tennessee take with that 26th pick if they stay there, because Tennessee isn't going to outpass teams in the AFC to get to the Super Bowl anyway. I mean, if you're Tennessee, you're not thinking, okay, I'm going to have a better quarterback receiver combination, a better passing attack than Kansas City or Buffalo or Cincinnati, et cetera. You're not thinking that way. You're thinking, we're going to pound the ball down your throat, play action over the top. It's the running game that's going to matter most. That's one of the reasons I think offensive line, all other things being equal in terms of player grades, should be what they should be targeting at that spot, not a receiver. But I think the potential for a lot of receivers to jump up into the first round ahead of Tennessee is good for the Titans, because that means an offensive lineman that should go a few spots above where they pick should fall down to them. And again, my favorite guy right now in the draft for them is guard Zion Johnson out of Boston College. He can play both guard and center, and he could step in and start on day one. And so this run on receivers that could materialize would be great for Tennessee, even if they don't want to take a receiver at 26.
Trevor Matich is our guest, ESPN college football analyst. Rich Cimini put out at ESPN that the Jets could be interested in A.J. Brown and that the 10th overall pick could be involved in this. Just looking at the wide receivers that would be available there, because there and 26 are very different. I saw a college coach tell Bruce Feldman of The Athletic that he thinks that Drake London from USC reminds him of Mike Evans. And I love A.J. Brown. Mike Evans is better than A.J. Brown. So if the Jets have the 4th and the 10th pick, and Garrett Wilson is out there that a lot of people think, I think Mike Tannenbaum thinks he's going to be great. I don't know these guys like you do. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me, if you're the Jets, to go trade for A.J. or DK Metcalf or Deebo Samuel, if all these guys that are going to be available definitely at 4, probably at 10, are going to be younger, cheaper versions of these guys. What do you make of these receivers?
See, Jared, you make a good point, but yet the Jets tried to get Tyreek Hill, and they just couldn't get him. He ended up
they did not offer.
Miami.
They did not offer the 4th or 10th pick in the package for Hill, but it was 2 high seconds that were in the package for Hill.
Right, but they couldn't get him. They were in the running for Hill. They were interested in Hill, which tells you that they're interested in a productive veteran receiver, which is really interesting, because even though A.J. Brown is on his rookie contract, he's played a lot of football. And I don't know, he just looks like a veteran to me. He doesn't look like a young guy that's still trying to find his feet. The Jets, they would be interested in a receiver who's a veteran in free agency or trade, because they've got a young quarterback, and they've got to surround Zach Wilson with guys that are experienced. You don't want to surround a young quarterback with nothing but young receivers, because none of them know what they're doing. And I got Corey Davis over there, okay. But I think that might be a reason they were interested in Tyreek Hill, a reason that they may be interested in A.J. Brown. Now, if I'm the Jets, I don't do that. They've got other needs, and I think that they can fill that receiver spot with such depth in this receiver class with a rookie and still be okay, because Zach Wilson is not a typical rookie quarterback. He doesn't freak out over things. He tries to do too much sometimes, but he doesn't freak out because he doesn't know what he's looking at. So I think they'd be better off going with different positions than even drafting a receiver that high. But at the same time, I can understand that if they can get a guy like A.J. Brown to New York, it takes away the urgent need for them to bring in more receiver talent, and they do that via trade. They cost them money or players because of the trade, but at least they bring in a veteran that can do more to help their young quarterback right now.
Trevor Matich is our guest, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. There is an interesting element that the Titans have done to themselves, but it is in the Todd McShay mock draft, and I want Trevor's thoughts on it. We'll get to that next. Plus, a big trade yesterday, And we're trying to figure out why the Saints and the Eagles did it yesterday, but we'll get Trevor's thoughts on that as well. Stillman and Company, live from Bridgestone Arena. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Cloudy skies will give way to a partly cloudy sky going into the overnight as temperatures drop into the low 50s. On our way to another stormy afternoon Wednesday, best chance for strong storms will be east to 65. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
When it comes to your credit card, Discover believes in having real people available 24/7 to help answer your questions. Discover. Exceptionally common sense.
Nothing makes one feel better than the ability to give to someone in need. You have the power to give the most important gift of all, the gift of life, with a donation of your blood. Supplies are desperately low in our area, and your help is needed. Blood Assurance is a nonprofit community blood center that supplies our Middle Tennessee area hospitals. Please find it in your heart to donate. Be someone's hero today. Go to bloodassurance.org to find a location or blood drive near you. That's bloodassurance.org. Give blood, give local, save lives with Blood Assurance.
How can a half-carat diamond magically grow into a 2-carat diamond? With Genesis Diamond's 110% diamond upgrade guarantee.
Our trade-up policy is the best in the United States.
That's Stasia at Genesis, explaining how if you buy a diamond today and want to trade it in for a bigger one next year, Genesis always gives you back your original purchase price plus an extra 10%.
We will gladly give you every single penny you paid for the diamond plus an extra 10%, which is amazing. No one does that.
As a real-life example, take Stasia's customer Paul.
When he first started, he got a half carat, and then as he became more successful, we rewarded him. He came in and he got a 3/4 carat, and then he's traded for a carat. I'm sure I'll see him this year for a carat and a half. As they grow and change and become more successful, their engagement ring can grow with them also.
And there's no catch, no minimum trade-up requirement, and it works on diamond studs and diamond pendants as well.
You get every single investment dollar you put into the diamond, you will get an extra 10% towards the new diamond.
Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
You can trade as many times as you wish.
Continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Gary Ashton here. Most people in Nashville know me as the don't sell without the intel and the guaranteed offer guy. But despite my accent, I'm also 100% guaranteed Nashville. I'm a guaranteed musician, a guaranteed dog lover, and you're also guaranteed to see me at every Titans and Preds game. Guaranteed offer means the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage will sell your house for top dollar with no cleaning, staging, showings, or open houses, and give you up to 90 days to close. So there's plenty of time to find your next home. Guaranteed Nashville means my team lives here and loves it here. We've served Nashville for over 20 years, and we're passionate about helping the people we call neighbors and friends, which is why we've had a long-standing tradition of donating to the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. If you're thinking about a guaranteed offer, get the only one that's guaranteed Nashville. Request a no-obligation offer by calling 615-301-1650 or go to GaryAshton.com today. Remember, Gary Ashton, guaranteed Nashville.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage? Keep your engine at its best with clean oil from Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic. Got an older vehicle? Use Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic High Mileage. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life oil filter for only $35.99. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,000 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Meshing journalism.
They are 2 scores behind you. The math says that increases your chances of winning.
With sports fandom.
I stayed up till 1:30 in the morning, just emotionally numb from Titans and Packers.
And sarcasm.
You guys are the worst.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode. No duh. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10. Brought to you by Little Guys Movers on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
You're listening to Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
Trevor Maddox is with us, ESPN college football analyst, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics. When experience matters, Todd McShay has a 2-round mock draft that's out, and I am very anxious about the quarterback position as far as the Titans are concerned, and I am very interested in the quarterbacks of this class, because it all started off with, there are no quarterbacks in this class. Then it was, there's 2 quarterbacks in this class, Kenny Pickett, but he's got small hands and who knows, and Malik Willis, but he's very, very raw. Then it turned into, well, but Matt Corral was a good, but then he got hurt. Then Desmond Ridder, look what he did at Cincinnati. And then Sam Howell, who was supposed to be a high pick, but then he didn't have a good season, so he's kind of been figured out one way or another. And everybody else after that, Bailey Zappi, it's all just whatever. So Todd McShay's mock draft has Kenny Pickett 6th overall to Carolina, Malik Willis 20th overall to the Steelers, Desmond Ridder, come on down, number 32 to the Detroit Lions, Matt Corral at 40, and Sam Howell at 40. Those last two, Corral and Howell, are in the second round. The Titans do not have a second-round pick because they traded it for Julio Jones. So I asked this question to you, Trevor. If they don't use a pick on a quarterback at 26, which I think a lot of people are divided about, if they don't use the pick at 26th, there's probably nobody there that's not a backup like Carson Strong or Bailey Zappi that would be left anyways in the third round. And then the Titans are essentially stuck with Tannehill, not just for this year, but maybe even for next year too, or they enter the quarterback purgatory that the Denver Broncos were so desperate to get out of that the Seattle Seahawks probably hate being in. And I don't feel comfortable about that. So what do you make about the quarterbacks in Todd's draft? They're all gone by the 48th pick. Would that affect your thinking if you were the Titans?
No, not with this quarterback group. If I'm the Titans, if I'm looking to draft a quarterback high, I am waiting for next year. Next year's quarterback group has a chance to be epic, certainly up high up at the top. Now, they need to package some draft choices to move up to get them. But Alabama's Bryce Young. Ohio State, spacing his name.
C.J. Stroud.
Yep, C.J. Stroud's coming out. There are a number of quarterbacks coming out next year that really will blow away on paper this year's draft class. So if I'm the Titans, I am not thinking about how to get the future quarterback into the building in the first two rounds this year. I'm just not thinking that way because I don't think the future quarterback is going to be available for them, where they're going to draft or where they'd be in range of moving up. CBSSports.com has the Titans moving up in the draft to draft Matt Corral of Ole Miss that you were talking about having people rated to go about 40. Mm-hmm. So if they fall in love with somebody, they fall in love. It's just that I'm not that in love with any of the guys that'll be anywhere near the reach of the Titans right now that they ought to, get all out of breath trying to figure out a way to go get those guys. I'd rather get other guys and think quarterback next year. Again, though, I see Ryan Tannehill differently. I know that you and a lot of other people in town are really eager to move on from that guy. I'm thinking that you've got a guy good enough to get you to the AFC Championship game at quarterback. Now, if you can get a guy that's a big upgrade to him, great. But I don't think you're going to get him in this draft. Certainly not over the next couple of years as the guy develops. And next year maybe, but this year I just don't see it happening. So I just don't have the eagerness to move on, to do what it takes to move on from Tannehill right now, or at least to get the quarterback of the future into the building right now if you're not really convinced that is the guy.
Trevor Matich is our guest, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. What do you think about the trade yesterday? The Saints basically add a first-rounder in this year's draft. The Eagles get a first-rounder and third-rounder, get a third-rounder in this year's draft, a first-rounder in next year's draft, and a second-rounder in the draft after that. What did you make of that, and what did you think the Saints and the Eagles' motive for pulling a trade off this far in front of the draft? What do you think the motive was there?
It's kind of weird. It's not like one of them moved up 6 places, right? In the first round. It's just, it was weird. When I heard this, I was not, I couldn't say, yep, this is exactly why they did it. And then I started thinking about it a little bit, and it makes a little bit more sense to me. I think from a state standpoint, I think they believe they can compete with Tampa right now for the division. Tampa, from a standpoint of the guys that, their roster is going to be a little bit different this year than it was last year. Brady's going to be a year older. I think the Saints think that if they're able to stack some good players that can contribute right away, that they have a chance to knock the Bucs off of the division purge. And one of the things that they'll do, a lot of people are thinking they're going to move up to grab the quarterback, the replacement for Jameis Winston, and maybe they will. Maybe that's why they moved up just a couple of spots. But I think it's more likely that they'll replace their left tackle, who left via free agency to go to Miami. And that would be a place where Trevor Penning would go. We talked about him falling to the Saints, kid out of Northern Iowa, but he did so well at the Senior Bowl and at the Combine that he's going to be out of their reach now. But that might be where they go, and they can look in their division rival Tampa for what they did a couple of years ago when they drafted rookie out of Iowa offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs, and he came in right away and became a Super Bowl caliber left tackle for them, or right tackle, I'm sorry. And maybe the Saints are thinking that way, that they'll move up a little bit, make sure that they can get the offensive lineman that they want, and build around Jameis Winston rather than try to get the quarterback of the future out of this class. I could be wrong. A lot of people like Kenny Pickett going there if he doesn't go to Carolina with the 6th pick. A lot of people like Malik Willis going there, and I get that. But I kind of tend to think that the Saints are looking to win right now. For the other team in this trade, Philly, what makes sense to me here is that they're hedging their bets for the future with quarterback Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, last season, Philly started the season with a kind of a balanced offense, and they didn't do well. They figured that their quarterback was much better runner than a passer at the time. So mid-season, they shifted their style of offense to running, and they used a lot of quarterback runs with Jalen Hurts. And they ended up making the playoffs, right? They had a really good second half of the season. I think this year, the reason that they got a few more picks out of Philly because of this, because Philly moved down a little bit and the Saints moved up a little bit. That lets the Saints bring in next year's first-round draft choice into the building right now. They can start to develop them and use them this year.
Mm-hmm.
And for Philly, it gives Jalen Hurts one more year, gets some more talent around him, and if he shows that he's the quarterback of the future for the Eagles, they'll keep building around him. And if this year he kind of plateaus, then that would put Philly into the sweepstakes for the quarterback class of next year, which I think will be a lot better. So on second blush and thinking about it, it does seem to make a little sense for both teams more than I originally thought.
Trevor, I have one thought on this quickly that I want to get your opinion on, which is I think the Eagles have all the picks. They moved back out of the pick that the Dolphins ended up drafting Jalen Waddle with, and they drafted Devontae Smith, I believe, last year. And they got a pick with that, and they got a pick for Carson Wentz that we all remember from Indianapolis. And I think they look at it like it was the wrong year for us to have all these picks. Let's find a way to get the picks for next year and give Jalen another crack at it. And if Jalen's not the guy, then we have all the picks in next year's draft to go get the quarterbacks that you were talking about. And I think the Saints are leveraging a pick that they expect to get for Sean Payton. Like they expect Sean Payton to coach somewhere next year. They expect a first-round pick in return. So let's trade next year's first-round pick. Let's win some games this year. Let's trade Sean Payton. Then let's have that first-round pick. What do you think?
Yeah, and different needs. And I think we can go back to the beginning with why would the Jets want A.J. Brown, right? Well, the Jets want a guy with experience to help their young quarterback. Whereas with Tannehill, the Titans have an experienced quarterback, and they could draft a wide receiver early, and the experienced quarterback could help the young wide receiver, get up to speed. So there's different needs there, and I think that's really smart of you to look at the standpoint of what they're looking for. The Saints looking maybe to replace that, the compensatory pick for the coach. At the same time, they brought next year's first rounder into this year, whereas the Eagles are kind of building for the longer haul. They don't think they can win it all right now, but the Saints think they might have a chance if they can just get a couple of pieces in. So these teams look like they're paying attention to what the needs are, and they're finding good trade partners with teams that have the opposite need.
Trevor Maddich, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. Trev, great stuff. We'll talk next week.
Thanks, Jared.
Yep, Trevor Maddich joining us on the program. I don't know if Sean Payton will get a first-round pick. That's going to be an incredible development next year. Is the Saints are going to hold out for leverage on Payton. I think they are leveraging this year's first-round pick, expecting Sean Payton next year. And, if you're one of these teams that wants to sell tickets and you can hire a nobody coach who might be a great coach, or you can go get Sean Payton, I think that will be an interesting development. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. It has been argued about for years and years and years and years, and today is the day in which I feel like we know our answer. I'll explain next. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
the voice of reason.
No, you blew it. That's what happened. It didn't slip away. You blew it.
The voice of the fan.
The officials had let that game get out of control before anything got thrown.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Victory Award-winning New Amsterdam Vodka knows all about it, but in life, it's not always so clear. So New Amsterdam Vodka believes that in life, you've got to find your own wins. You've got to overcome your fears, go all in, even when you've got nothing at all. Find your wins. And when you do, raise that glass of New Amsterdam Vodka in victory. You've earned it. New Amsterdam Spirits Company, Modesto, California.
Now through April 14th, join a clean and spacious Planet Fitness for $1 down and only $10 a month. With tons of equipment and free fitness training, it's the perfect place for everybody to work out.
Even me, Mr. I can't sleep at night, so I keep dozing off during the day.
Especially you, Snoozy. You'll rest easier and feel fit-tacular.
Wait, how did you get in here?
Join in club or at planetfitness.com. $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime. Hurry, deal ends April 14th. See club for details.
Realizing Geico is your one-stop shop for all your insurance needs is like realizing you can just toss the whole measuring cup into the washer so it won't get gunked up with laundry detergent.
I guess it doesn't work for coffee mugs, huh?
It's something that's been right in front of you this whole time, like how Geico offers 24/7 emergency roadside service to help you when you need it most. Or how athletic wristbands aren't for your wrists, they're for wiping sweat off your forehead.
Great. So, what are headbands for?
80s night at the dance club. Woo!
It's something you can't believe you never realized before, like how Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance, with even more ways to save when you add boat, motorcycle, and RV insurance. Or how a pony is its own animal and not just a baby horse.
So, what's a baby pony called?
Getting more ways to save. It's just one of the many reasons to switch to Geico. They're all right there in front of you.
From curriculum-based literacy programs and sport leagues to college tours and workforce readiness tracks, Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee provide a safe place where youth gain the tools to learn, lead, and reach their full potential. You can support local youth and their great futures by donating at bgcmt.org.
Spirited Hive. Come see what all the buzz is about at Spirited Hive on Instagram.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good. Really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Listen to Stillman and Company with me, Caroline Fenton, all season long on ESPN 1025 The Game for your chance to win Nashville Sounds tickets courtesy of 312 Pizza Company in Germantown.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 1025. The game streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios at Bridgestone Arena. Predators pregame in an hour, puck drop in 2 hours. Big one tonight against the Minnesota Wild. So I've got an interesting topic, and it's going to be on the Supreme Court. I just want to make everybody that, I want to make my bosses nervous here, type of the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm. Getting political on us?
Yes, the Supreme Court. And there have been a lot of issues in my life that have just been hotly contested. And people just stand their ground and they say, absolutely not. When I was in high school, we did some project. I forget what it was. It was about some book we were reading in English. And we had to make a movie about like a current act that was a current, like a current event that was going on in today's society. So it was something about Huckleberry Finn. I can't remember it. All I remember is we went to my buddy Justin's house and we filmed a video about somebody leaving their state to go to California because at that point in 2007, I believe California was the only place in America that allowed gay marriage. Then the Supreme Court decided, gay marriage is legal. Now it's legal everywhere. Now it happens. I mean, I'm sure some people are against it, but for the most part, hasn't really changed anybody's life.
Right.
Then there was sports gambling. Remember sports gambling? Oh, no, you can't talk about point spreads.
Taboo.
Oh, no, gambling. Oh, God. I mean, if Brent Musburger hints at the end of a football game that this field goal is going to affect the line, how dare you do that? Sports gambling's now legal for a lot of places around the country. Other places, Kentucky, it's not legal. I don't know why it's not legal, but I'm not sure. I'm sure people have their own individual gambling problems, but I don't see anything that has changed the game about sports betting. By the way, sports betting was going on before this. Now it's just legal.
It's just legal. Same thing with weed.
And that'll be after this one. But the next thing the Supreme Court did was they finally made it legal to pay the players in college sports. Well, now we've had a football season that is over, and we have had a basketball season that is over, and it is time to admit that paying the players has not affected your life one iota.
Hasn't affected the
game.
game.
And for every single person out there that sits there and has grabbed their pearls every time and said, if you pay the players, it will ruin the sanctity of college sports. That's gone. We know that's not true. Just like sports betting hasn't ruined the game. Just like everything else, you brought up weed. That's next. At some point, somebody, it'll probably be the Supreme Court, just like it was for paying the players, just like it was for gay marriage, just like it was for sports betting. At some point, and I think they're actually passing a bill through Congress right now that's going to decriminalize marijuana. But at some point, they're going to make weed legal. Even if you're somebody who believes that weed should be illegal, they're gonna make it legal. It's already kind of legal now. It's called Delta 8. And I don't know what the difference between Delta 8 and real weed is, but I know that Delta 8 you can buy and that real weed... And I remember when, people smoking pot when I was in college, it was like, bad person. And now nobody thinks that anymore. And I go back to paying the players. We've now had a whole football season where these guys get paid. We've now had a whole basketball season where these guys get paid. I was at the Women's Final Four this past weekend. I talked to the head of compliance that I went to college at Louisville, is a great guy by the name of John Carnes. And I talked to John Carnes, and I'm like, how much has your life changed because of NIL and essentially NIL paying the players? And he said to me, that one of the biggest elements with NIL now with the NCAA is that they have to turn in their NIL stuff, and that some of the players do, some of the players, who knows, but honestly, it just now all the things that were absolutely unequivocally unacceptable in college sports, those things are now it's like, yeah, who cares? And I'll say this from being there, from being around the players. I ate with the team when I was there. I was up on the team floor. I was with the players. I was with the coaches. I was with Nothing has changed. This is the fourth Women's Final Four that I've been to over the last 15 years. And it's no different from the second one and no different from the third one. And the only reason it was different from the first one is because I was sitting on the bench the first time I went. It's all the same. And I said this, we used to talk about this all the time in Louisville when I was on the air there because, in July, it would get a little, topics would be, few and far between. And the first year that I was there, Johnny Manziel was the quarterback at Texas A&M. And we remember Johnny Manziel signed those autographs and took that money and lied about it. And I mean, goodness gracious, it was literally like almost a Congress investigation to figure out what Johnny Manziel had done or had not done. And I think back to that. And we used to always have the topics about paying the players. And I remember that this topic would come up time and time again in a college sports town, and it'd be the same thing. There'd be people saying that the players are employees and they deserve to be paid. And then there'd be people that would say, hey, college is not cheap. Do you not consider a college education payment? You get the best strength coaches in the world. You get all the nutrition. You get all, that's a payment right there. And then those people would say, well, that's not fair. They don't get to pick what they spend their money on. And everything else. And I say this because I used to always reply. When I talked to both sides in all this, and I used to always say, at the end of the day, and this is Louisville, Kentucky, at the end of the day, if you're a Louisville fan or if you're a Kentucky fan, you sit on your couch and you turn on the games and you care about Louisville and Kentucky or Tennessee or Vandy or Alabama or Ole Miss or Georgia or Kansas or North Carolina or St. Peter's, you turn on the game and you care about your team as much as a Dallas Cowboy fan cares about the Dallas Cowboys, as much as a Tennessee Titan fan cares about the Titans. You all know it. You don't care if these guys go to school. Floyd told me he interviewed Cordero Patterson when he was coming out the first round of the draft in 2012. Floyd was with the Patriots. And Floyd asked Cordero Patterson why I picked UT. And Cordero Patterson said, because I wanted to go to a school that would just let me play football. That I didn't have to go to class. I didn't have to pretend to go to class. I didn't have to fake going to class. I just wanted to go play football. And Floyd laughed and was like, good enough for me. And I say this because, do you really care? No, you don't care if these guys go to class. You don't, because you watch it the same way you watch the Titans. Do you care if that guy, that guy on the Titans has a good relationship with his wife, girlfriend, boyfriend? No, you don't care. I don't care. And so I am convinced that I used to say all the time that as long as paying the players doesn't affect how I watch the games, then I'm fine with it. Well, now we've had a whole football season where the players can get paid. We've had a whole basketball season where the players can get paid. We know it's uncapped. We know that it's going to get wild and crazier. We saw Deion Sanders get the best running back in the country to go to Jackson State, and that's going to happen. We saw Tennessee get a quarterback to commit to UT, and we heard that apparently, $8 million?
$8 million across 4 years.
I mean, $8 million. Okay, like this is going to happen. Is it going to change the game at all? Because it hadn't changed the game yet. And so this goes back to everything else, where it's like, sometimes I wonder, what were we thinking? Like, what were we thinking? If you're the guy, and it's okay to admit that you're wrong, but like, what were we thinking for all these years? And look, I've been wrong about things too in my life. Big issues that I'm like, man, why did I think like that? I can't believe that. And not like talking about a game or a player or a team, but like a philosophy of life that I thought, again, I used to think that, people that smoked weed, like, oh, honey badger, bad guy, and now like I couldn't give a rat's ass if you smoke weed or not. And so I look at this and I'm like, what were we thinking when we really thought like, if we pay the players, this is going to change the game forever? First of all, the players were always getting paid anyways. Now it's just illegal. Secondly, you don't care if they're getting paid. You don't care if they're going to class. You don't care about issues that don't have to do with you. And now that we got a full football season and a full basketball season in the books, I think anybody who thought that paying the players was a bad idea can shut it closed and say, gosh, that was stupid. And we should feel bad for the guys like Tyrone Prothro that got hurt at Arkansas and could never play in the NFL because he got injured and he didn't get any money in college. We should now feel bad for those guys. And guess what the money in college is going to do? It's going to keep players around an extra year. And so I got to tell you, now I never cared, again, about the idea of paying the players. Like I never thought that this was going to like, how dare they? But I think a lot of people did. But I figured it would change watching the games a little bit. I'm not sure it has. Let's get your thoughts on it. We'll get Caroline's thoughts. We'll get Ian's thoughts. We'll get your thoughts. But again, now we got a whole basketball season in the books. We got a whole football season in the books. And I'm not sure that it has changed my life one iota. I mean, Kansas was already paying players. We already knew that. And they just won the championship. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Hiller is giving away free vacations for you and your family this month with every purchase of a new whole home generator or select new HVAC systems. Hiller is giving you a free week-long vacation with every purchase of a new tankless water heater. Hiller is giving you a free weekend vacation, and they're giving you a Visa Rewards card to help pay for your gas to get you there. Choose from over 400 Marriott, Wyndham, Hilton, or Hyatt hotel properties, and you must take advantage of this unbelievable deal while you can, because these deals are only available for a limited time. So make sure that you schedule today. Visit happyhiller.com for all of the details, because as always, happy you will be or the service is free. And I can promise you about this because I've had Hiller at my home I'm not going to say thousands, but I've had them at my house a lot over the last 4 years. They have done a fantastic job. They're proud supporters of the Predators, so you'll see the Hiller logo right there on the ice. Proud supporters of the Vols. You will see their logo everywhere and when you're in Knoxville. And proud supporters of the Vanderbilt Commodores saw that Hiller logo right there on the first baseline every game this weekend. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Call the Happy Face Truck today. Every Wednesday, it's me, Jared Stillman, against Joe Rexroad for Jared versus Joe. Brought to you by Parman Tractor and Equipment. Visit ParmanTractor.com, your Middle Tennessee link belt and Takeuchi dealer.
Hey guys, it's the new year. Are you still struggling with erectile dysfunction? I've yet to meet anyone that enjoys timing those intimate moments around a pill. Well, now you don't have to. The advanced wave technology at Hillside Medical has been shown by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic to restore and even regrow blood vessels. It can improve circulation and eliminate erectile dysfunction. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, call us in the next 2 minutes and you'll receive a consultation, assessment, and blood flow ultrasound free. Plus, a special gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. You're going to love that. Trust me. This is a $600 value, free to callers now. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, get rid of your ED and get that spark back. Call Hillside Medical now to qualify. 615-576-5000.
Spring has sprung, which means it's time to renew your home with Social Furniture. It's their Spring Fling sale, where all furniture is up to 50% off. That's right, up to 50% off on top name brands such as Serta, Sealy, Simmons, Caracol, Bernhardt, and Woodhouse. At Social Furniture, you'll find new bedroom furniture, mattresses, and sofas, all up to 50% off. Spring into Social Furniture today on Charlotte Avenue in West Nashville. Shop local, shop social. Social Furniture is a proud supporter of your Nashville Predators.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe, and BetMGM welcomes you with a special offer on the NBA. Simply place a $10 moneyline wager on any game, and if either team hits a three-pointer, you'll win $200 in free bets. Just use the bonus code 1025GAME200 when you make your first bet. Plus, listen to this. You'll earn BetMGM rewards points that can be redeemed for online bonuses or converted into comps for rooms, restaurants, and more at over 20 MGM resorts nationwide. I've done this. It's awesome. BetMGM is proud to be an authorized gaming partner of the NBA. Just download the app or go to BetMGM.com. Use the code 1025GAME200 to win $200 in free bets if either team hits a three-pointer. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman and Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Love's going to be the one to take it. Puts up the shot. It's off. The game is over. And Kansas completes the biggest championship comeback all time.
That was last night's game. Did anybody, let me ask this, I mean this with all sincerity, did anybody have a hard time watching the game last night because the players are getting paid now?
No, not even the slightest.
It didn't affect you watching the game at all last night?
No.
And it didn't affect you. Like you didn't turn on the TV, North Carolina, Kansas, and sit there and say, I don't know if I can watch this because the sanctity of college athletics is now evaporated because of the fact that we're actually paying the players above the table as opposed to under the table.
Well, those two particular programs, in particular, I guess I should say, yeah, I mean, they've been doing some things off and on for years before this already.
It's funny because in Coach K's first championship, Coach K, the Final Four that year was Duke, Carolina, Kansas, and UNLV. And there wasn't a more cheating team out there than Jerry Tarkanian and UNLV. I mean, you talk about paying the players. I mean, like, it was like they were like the Oakland Raiders of college basketball. Just win, baby. And they were paying the players like it was nobody's business. Now we had a Final Four. Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, and Villanova instead of UNLV. And guess what? If somebody wants to do an ad for Planet Fitness and make, a couple of $100,000, ain't my money.
Good for you. Get yourself a car.
It ain't my money. So I saw Oscar Tshiebwe at Kentucky, got a Porsche.
Good for him.
And it's like, ain't my money. But guess what? Oscar Tshiebwe might come back to Kentucky next year. And that's
Which
like
he
good.
would not have done in the past.
Shot. No chance he would have come back. And so, again, it's okay. 615-737-1025. It's okay to call in today now that we've got a full football season with the players getting paid and a full basketball season with the players getting paid, and the game is fine. It's okay to call in today. It's okay to text in today and say, I was wrong, Jared. It's okay. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I've been paying the players for a while now. So, of course, I'm not going to look at that game and say, you know what, I was wrong because my entire viewing experience as a sports fan has changed because these players are rightfully making the money off of their own name, image, and likeness. You're creating your own brand. So it's not fair that the old guys at the very top are collecting millions off of what you have done. So I'm with you that it hasn't changed
they're still
anything.
Getting their money, though.
Well, of course,
they still get.
But now the people who have created those brands, who have created the buzz about it, also get paid from it, and that's what it should be.
Right, like it's kind of bullcrap that Mark Helfrich, the head coach at Oregon at the time, gets a contract extension because Mariota carries him. Then he loses Mariota, he's terrible, he gets fired.
Exactly, and Mariota doesn't see a cent of that.
Yeah.
But I do say, and it hasn't changed anything yet. Because I do wonder what is more to come with NIL. Because right now, in name, image, and likeness, we're living in the wild, wild west. The University of Tennessee can pay their upcoming quarterback $8 million because there's no rule against it. I wouldn't be surprised in the near future if there are some sort of mandates or some sort of... Why?
Because the Supreme Court won't let you.
But
so the NCAA can't cap, right?
Correct.
Like, the NCAA has nothing to do with this.
But
other
right
than
now,
the fact
there
that
are literally no rules.
There's not going to be rules. Let me ask you a question. A.J. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
A.J. Brown, is part of a union in which the rules are collectively bargained for what he can and cannot do outside of football, which is why A.J. Brown, for instance, cannot do, I do not believe active NFL players can do alcohol commercials. I could be wrong about that, but if you notice, Michelob has Peyton Manning,
Former NFL player. Corona has a couple former players. Tony Romo.
Right.
Yeah.
Then I think they have current basketball players, but I don't think they have any current football players.
But I don't think that's a rule for the NBA.
But again, like
Hennessy is the official liquor of the NBA.
Those are all discussions that have been had. Like that's an agreement that the players have made with, well, there's never going to be a union for college sports.
No.
So college sports can't tell players, hey, we're capping your NIL money at $8 million. Because the Supreme Court has already ruled that it is illegal for the NCAA to tell the players that they can't make money off themselves.
But that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that we're eventually going to go back to a time where NIL is not allowed.
No. You're saying that we're going to cap NIL.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it could be part of it, but I also think that there are parts of the NIL that haven't been said by the Supreme Court that they can't do it. Like, you can do it by a conference basis. Not saying that there should be a cap, but I do wonder what's coming down the stretch.
So now in order for me, like that the ACC makes an agreement that says all the ACC schools all come together and say, okay, here's our NIL rules.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Potentially.
All right. Well, then aren't I just going to go to the conference that gives me the most money?
Potentially, yes.
So then I'm not going to play in the ACC.
Potentially, yes.
So then the ACC is never going to do that.
I'm not saying it has to be like that. I'm not saying that the ACC says, nope, sorry, you're only making $1 million here at Louisville, so go look elsewhere. But I'm saying that I do think that eventually there are going to be certain, mandates or regulations that you have to go by. Not necessarily a cap, but maybe an improved reporting process, or maybe there are certain things that you have to qualify for in order to make NIL money. And I don't know exactly what the Supreme Court said you can and cannot do. I know that you can't have a cap. But I do wonder at some point, and when is that point going to come? Is there going to be something that happens in the future where the NCAA or conferences individually say, we gotta do something about this?
I don't think they can.
I don't know what the Supreme Court,
I think the toothpaste,
other than
I think the toothpaste is out of the tube, because what happened basically is the NCAA should have essentially settled all this stuff. Like, they should have been like, okay, you can pay the players, but here are the rules. And then everybody else would have stopped all the complaining and the crying and everything else. Instead, the Supreme Court basically said that you can't tell these kids what to do. And that's a big step.
It's huge. And I'm very pro NIL.
But once they say that, that doesn't mean that, you can tell them. You can't tell them not to make any money, but you can tell them how much money they can make.
That's not what I'm saying.
And then the
conferences
can't do this, because even if they did, right? So let's say that the ACC decided this is getting out of hand and we're setting it so that, each player can only get $2 million, right? The member schools of the ACC.
But that's a cap.
Right, but just hear me out. The ACC says that players can only get $2 million, and all 14 member schools agree to it. And it is part of the deal that when you go to Virginia Tech, that you can only get $2 million. You think Clemson, South Carolina says, we'll pay $5 million. And now it's like, Georgia, hey, South Carolina pay $5 million, we'll pay you $6 million. I'm sure that this Nico Amalavea, whatever, that's getting $8 million for Tennessee, I bet other people were offering him some money too.
But don't you think there's a clause that Tennessee has that says, look, you will void, let's say you're making $2 million a year for 4 years. But if you decide to declare for the NFL draft after your junior year, that $2 million is voided.
That's between him and whoever's paying him the $2 million.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying.
It has nothing to do with UT, even though it has everything to do with UT.
And that's what I'm saying.
It has nothing to do with
those
UT.
are certain, regulations involving NIL that isn't necessarily a cap, but there are certain things that you have to qualify for.
Caesar Sportsbook comes up to you and says, Caroline, we want to put you in a commercial with the Mannings, and we're going to pay you $1 million to do it.
Okay.
And the radio station says, whoa. That's not part of our deal. Caroline, you can't do that.
Then I'll turn to the radio station and say, don't let the door kick me on the way out.
Right. Like, the radio station can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's not
but Tennessee
their
or
jurisdiction.
Whatever NIL deal that
it's not Tennessee's jurisdiction to tell, Farm Bureau health plans that they need to. If Nico Amalavea decides to go to Kansas State after a year, let's say he's not any good, and he decides to leave, or they decide to get rid of him. I mean, it wouldn't be the first 5-star quarterback that wasn't any good. So let's say that happens. Well, it's not up to the University of Tennessee to take that money away, because the University of Tennessee didn't offer the money. It's Nico Amalavea and Farm Bureau health plans. It's Nico Amalavea and Planet Fitness or Hiller or whomever. It's their deal. It has Brady's deal with Under Armour has nothing to do with the Patriots.
No.
And that's what this is.
Yes.
And so you would have to go to each individual NIL business, and you would have to say, hey, we got to keep this under control. And then Johnny Oil out in Texas is going to say, screw you, and they're going to go out there and try to get the best quarterback. What I'm telling you is, everything has to be done on an individual level, which makes it impossible to be able to govern this. To your point, your point of let's not let it get out of hand. It's impossible to do that. The toothpaste is out of the tube.
I understand what you're saying about
you're going to go to every
basis.
business. You're going to go to every single business in America that could pay a college athlete and say, hey, no more than $500,000.
I never said that there was going to be a cap.
There's no way to regulate it your way without there being a cap. There's no way to do it.
To say, okay,
regulation equals cap.
To say, okay, Desmond Ritter, if you decide to leave Cincinnati after 3 years, then that 4th year of our $2 million that we're going to pay you, you don't get.
that's not Cincinnati's discussion to have with Desmond Ridder. That's who's ever giving Desmond Ridder the money.
But do you not think that Cincinnati comes into play at least a little bit?
Did you hear what Fred Taylor told Outkick last week?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Fred Taylor told Chad and Hutton and them on Outkick 360 that he got $50,000 to go to Georgia, took the $50,000, and then went to Florida.
Like, I mean, that's the wild, wild west right there.
Okay, well, guess what? What's Georgia supposed to do about it? They're gonna lodge a formal complaint that, hey, Fred Taylor took our $50,000 and didn't play for us. No, they got burned on the rear end, and that's gonna, like, with all this stuff. Now, I'm sure there are in these agreements, these sponsorship agreements. You know, I'm sure there are that if you go to the NFL, then it stops right then and there. Like, there's probably no doubt in my mind. But again, all of those are individual case-by-case basis.
And also, if you're looking at NIL as well, I mean, like, there's scholarship and incentives that are now allowed under NIL that do come from the school.
Like what kind of incentives?
Like, isn't there something like
they're not paying you $500,000 to be able to, you know, if you catch 55 passes.
No, that's not what I'm saying. But isn't there like a book incentive or like a something like that? Like that does come from the school.
Sure, Fred Taylor was real worried about his book incentive.
If it was $50,000.
Hey, you know what? Give me $100,000 book incentive. The problem with that.
And that's what the schools can do. We'll say, here's $150,000 for your books.
Yeah, but then all that's going to happen then is it's just going to be like, you know, okay, fine, then I'll go where someone gives me $200,000. But the real money.
But that's what I'm saying is that
$8
at
million
some
is the
point,
real money, and that's not coming from schools. And when it's not coming from schools, there's no way for the NCAA. There's no way for the toothless NCAA. There's no way for the NCAA. There's no way for the conferences. There's no way to regulate that. And guess what? I don't care. Like, I got to be honest with you. Hey, I'm a capitalist. You want to pay some quarterback $18 million to go to your school? Screw it. Pay him $18 million. And if he goes somewhere else and you get burned about it, that's your freaking problem. But that's what it is now. And I don't see a way that that's going to change.
I mean, I want to put it out there that I am fully pro NIL. And I fully think that every single athlete
and capitalism.
That every player should be able to earn what they have, or make what they have earned. But I wouldn't be surprised if there is something someday, somehow, down the road that regulates some of this.
Maybe. But I think it'd be kind of hard. Politicians, too. If they regulate something like this, right? Like, let's say.
On a state-by-state basis, then all the coaches in the universities are going to
They're going to lose their mind. Oh, it'll be so great. And that is capitalism. That is supply and demand. That is also a democracy. Or, you know, people get mad when you talk about democracy, but like a representative democracy is what that is. If the people of Georgia want Georgia to be able to pay the most amount of money to go get players, then they will put pressure on their politicians to allow Georgia to go out and get the best players in the. That's exactly what that is. And I don't see that changing. Hal Gill will join us coming up next. The Preds tonight got a win against Minnesota. We'll get Hal's thoughts on it. And again, I am not panicked when it comes to the Predators making the playoffs. 15737 that is our phone number. TriStar Moving. Those are my official movers. That's right. And they've done an absolutely fantastic job for every single person that I've sent them to, including me. They moved me a year ago, and it was fantastic. They are the best. 100%, hands down, the best moving company in Middle Tennessee. And if you don't believe me, just do yourself a favor and check out their hundreds of 5-star reviews on Google. And there's a reason why they get so many 5-star reviews, because of the great service that they have. And I'm telling you, I use the process. My cousin used the process. My friends have used the process with TriStar Moving. And it's just so much easier than every other moving company out there. Their owners, Garrett and Robert, are true Nashvillians. And all they want is the opportunity to help as many fellow Nashvillians like you and I make the most of a simple and easy process. They want to make it simple and easy. It's a very difficult process. So give them a call, 615-640-1219, or visit their website at nashvillemoving.org/radio and get your personal discount on me, which is 5% off your entire move. That's TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219. nashvillemoving.org/radio. Tell them Jared Stillman sent you for 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
This is Mikhail Kralin, and this is Nashville.
The rebound shoveled in by Mikhail Kralin, and the Predators have tied it up on the power play.
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network. ESPN 1025, The Game.
As a mom, you have to plan for everything. But I never planned on my health plan at work costing so much to cover my family. Fortunately, with more than 70 years of experience helping Tennesseans, Farm Bureau health plans help me get family-friendly coverage for a lot less. So I can focus on raising my kids, not my premiums.
Ouch, Mom!
Find out more at fbhp.com. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Plan on us.
What if you could be debt-free in 3 weeks? Hey, Willie Donick here. My friends at Loan Pronto are helping people do it every day. It's Loan Pronto's debt consolidation home refi, wiping out tens of thousands in credit card debt. Listen, your home's value is way up. You can refinance now, take money out to pay off all your credit cards, eliminate PMI charges, pay off personal loans, or other high-interest debt. One local couple had over $50,000 in credit card debt. Loan Pronto did a debt consolidation refi. And even though their mortgage rate went up a tad, they cut their monthly payments by $900. Why pay 20% interest when you can consolidate it to one low payment with a mortgage APR in the threes? Homeowners who do it save an average of $800 a month. Do it now and even skip your next house payment altogether. That's what I call financial freedom. Call Loan Pronto now. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and I'm excited to tell you about my friends at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Spring is here. If your AC or heating unit is old and inefficient, then you need to take advantage of the Spring Hill Spring Special for a limited time only. Save up to $1,000 with Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Get a York unit that lasts with a 10-year parts and labor warranty with up to 60 months no-interest financing on all York units. Restrictions do apply. Schedule now at springhillac.com. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, a York certified comfort expert company.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Rick Stockstill, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Predators tonight here at Bridgestone Arena. They're taking on the Minnesota Wild, and I always do this. I pull up the NHL playoff matchups, and I am always like, all right, let's take a look to see what's kind of going on as far as who would be in, who would be out. The Predators, again, the race for fourth place, things looking real good. The Predators, 82 points right now. They would play Calgary, which is good. Vegas, 82 points, would play Colorado. And Dallas is trailing Vegas by 1 point, which means they're also trailing you by 1 point. Dallas has 14 games left. You have 14 games left, so it feels like you're getting caught up with the games in hand. And I had people over the weekend reach out to me. They're all worried about the Predators making the playoffs, and guess what I said? I am not worried about the Predators making the playoffs. Hal Gill joins us, presented by Duncan, and their new next-gen location at 500 Cool Springs Boulevard. Harold, I am not worried whatsoever about the Predators making the playoffs, but I will say this. They better make the playoffs or else I'm going to lose my mind. I just am not panicked about making the playoffs. I think they'll win enough games down the stretch. They'll make it. They'll get in the first round against either Colorado or Calgary, and then we'll see. What is your message to everybody that's worried about the team making the playoffs?
Well, that's why you watch hockey, right? That's why you're a fan, is because you want to be on the edge of your seat, and that's what the Preds have done to you. I think there's concern. Of course there's concern. I think the exciting part for me is I think they play up to better teams. They played this last week, having Ottawa, Philly, Buffalo. I think they got a little sloppy. They got a few days off, and now they can dial it back in. They better not mess around against this Minnesota team because they're hot. And they're good, and they're, Bill Guerin made some nice moves as a GM to make this team poised for a playoff run. So, I think this is going to get their attention. This is going to tell me a lot about what this team is made of, if they can step up and get it done against this team tonight. So, it's going to be a tough road. You look at you just went through the standings, and that last two wild card spots. Dallas, they have an easier schedule. I wouldn't count them out. Vegas, they stack. They got some good players, and if they can get healthy, they're going to be tough to knock out. So there's going to be one good team that's going to miss out, and that's the the scary part. That's what you're worried about. But if the Preds play the right way, I think they can make it in this thing. And then you know how it goes, Jared. Anything can happen in the playoffs.
So, I'm all for that. Just get to the playoffs. Let's see what happens. One thing that bothers me, and I don't know exactly how to feel about this, like they lost to Buffalo Friday night. Buffalo sucks. And so, like, I look at it.
They had points in the last 7 games.
Yeah, but they suck.
They were 4-0-3 before they got in there. So,
but they still suck. But the thing that bothers me is that I look at like everybody that cares about this, that gets worried about the schedule, and I don't like they lost to Buffalo. They may lose to Ottawa on Thursday night, and Ottawa stinks too. But the thing that gets me is they're going to beat good teams. Like this is the NHL. This is not the NFL. And just like Major League Baseball, you can be a terrible team and beat the Yankees in any given game. Now, you're going to beat the Yankees out of a 7-game series? Who knows? But that's how I look at this. I don't even get worked up about the schedule. While it's tough, it's like, I mean, I've seen the Predators beat good teams. I know the Predators can beat good teams. I'm just not that panicked about any of this.
No, I think, I had a good talk with Matthias Ekholm, and he did say, it was a tough game in Buffalo. I don't think the Preds played well, but Buffalo played really well. They had a packed house, and it was kind of a weird game because they were riding high. It was the first packed house they've had in 2 years, so they were flying. And just like you said, anything can happen on any given night. I just think overall, if the Preds are playing the right way, doing the right things, establishing their forecheck, they need to be better in the defensive zone. They need to lock it down and get stops on the boards and shut teams down in that regard. If they can do all those things with the forecheck that they have and the success that they can have on that forecheck, they're going to win more games than not, and that'll get them in. But they just have to focus on what they're doing.
Hal Gill is our guest, presented by Dunkin', their newest next-gen location, 500 Cool Springs Boulevard. So expectations, I think, are everything in life. And this year, the Predators did not walk into the season with high expectations. And I think it's interesting because, the one thing David Poyle had said was competitive rebuild, and people didn't really know what that meant. But this year, they've been competitive. And I felt like the way that they played at the end of the calendar year and the beginning of the calendar year up until about February, it's almost felt like a guarantee that this team is going to make the playoffs. Now it obviously doesn't feel like a guarantee for other people that they're going to make the playoffs. How catastrophic would it be if this team does not make the playoffs this year?
Well, I think you have to take everything with a grain of salt. But the expectations for this team, they know how good they can be. I think it would sting. It's competitive transition. You take a step back. You change some things around. You get great performances from your best players. You've gotten rookies in Tanner Jeannot that have stood out. Michael McCarron has been a bright spot. Tomasino is coming along. You have all these young guys that are coming. So you're really building for the future. You make a trade for Jeremy Lauzon, who's maybe not just a guy that's going to help you on a cup run. He's a guy that's going to add depth as the team goes on years to come. You have good, solid defense, and UC Saros is going. So this team has been building for the future, but right now their expectations are to win right now. They have their mindset on going out and getting it done now. So, I think they're taking it game by game, but certainly their expectations are to get there because I really feel, and they do too, that they have a team that's built for the playoffs and big, strong. They can be physical. They're not going to get pushed around like the years past. And so that has been part of that transition that David Poyle has gone through, adding more size and playing more of a game with jam. And so that works out in the playoffs. They just got to try to get there is the big challenge. But I think they'd be more than a little upset if they miss the playoffs this year. So there's a lot on the line.
Hal, tell us about Dunkin'. I know you love them.
Well, I love Dunks. I got a story for you, Jared. You'll like this one. I'm getting ready to pull into Dunks the other morning. I'm bringing my daughter to lacrosse, and she wanted to get a chocolate croissant and some munchkins, and I was getting my coffee, and I was just about to Massachusetts. I feel like I'm at home where a guy's cut me off. You know what this guy did? Amazing. He he stops in the drive-through line and lets me go past him, waves me along, and lets me go in front of him. So I thought, you know what? These Dunks people are good people. You know, he was happy he was going to get his treat, and I was happy that he let me go through. I made it to lacrosse on time, and I got my Dunks. So if you want to be a good person, go out there, treat yourself, and get your Dunks. Is that a good story or what?
Was that the one on Harding Pie, Cal?
It was.
Good thing it wasn't me who was in that line, because if it was me, Hal would not have been getting
me right off.
Absolutely not. That's my
Yeah.
Duncan too, and I absolutely would not have allowed you to get in front of me. Hal Gill, Preds radio analyst, will hear you tonight. Big game tonight, Hal. We'll see you.
It's going to be a good one. Enjoy.
Yep, Hal Gill joining us.
Hope all is well.
Hal Gill joining us on the program. Coming up next, I am not worried. They're talking about it now on NHL Network about the Predators and the Predators making the playoffs. And I feel like everybody else is more worried than me. And I'll tell you why I'm not worried. That's next, plus Predators Game Day. Stillman and Company. Let me make sure there's nothing else for me to tell everybody out there. Yes, go to Social Furniture. That's right. I want to tell everybody about registering to win for these tickets at Social Furniture. Stop by Social Furniture at 5412 Charlotte Avenue in Nashville now and enter for a chance to win a pair of tickets to see the Predators take on the Chicago Blackhawks at Bridgestone Arena on Saturday, April 16th. Also, don't forget to check out their new sofas while you are there. Must be 18 to enter the contest. No purchase necessary. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Cloudy skies will give way to a partly cloudy sky going into the overnight as temperatures drop into the low 50s. On our way to another stormy afternoon Wednesday, best chance for strong storms will be east to 65. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Has she seen an engagement ring she really loves? A unique look from a top-notch designer? You won't find it at just any store, but you will at Genesis Diamonds.
At Genesis Diamonds, we work with the most sought-after designers in this country. We are proud to feature lines like Tacori, Baraggio, Kirk Cara, Henry Dawsey, A. Jaffe, Jeff Cooper, Gabriel, and many more.
Since other jewelers can't get these designers, David says beware of knockoffs.
Often stores will result to copying or knocking off a designer ring just to compete with Genesis. And oftentimes, you will actually pay the same, if not more, for that fake.
Why risk it? Genesis has the real deal. Unique, handcrafted, cutting-edge designs and award-winning craftsmanship.
So not only will you get the exact product you wish with the brand you trust, but at a price that you can afford.
Get her the ring of her dreams at Genesis Diamonds.
Every girl wants a designer ring. They don't want Joe in the back room to make a copy. They want the real thing.
Continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Spring into savings at Electronic Express. Get up to 40% off the latest 4K TVs from Samsung, LG, Sony, Hisense, TCL, and more. That's not all. Get huge savings in every department like computers and gaming, smart home, housewares, mattresses, and more. Plus, save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online with free express delivery on most items. Shop locally owned and family operated at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Sometimes their glass is half full.
That was unbelievable. It was the best NFL draft they've ever had.
Sometimes glass half empty.
What are we getting ourselves into here? Tough game.
And sometimes it's all about the numbers.
One win, and they've gone on this streak, and now they're at 500.
Hang out with Darren, Donick, and Chase from 10 to 2 during your workday. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
This is Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
Stillman and Company, Predators tonight against the Minnesota Wild. Let me make sure that there's nothing of importance that I need to tell the fine folks about because there's a lot of things I'm supposed to tell the fine folks about. But the Predators take on Minnesota tonight. And, again, we had Hal on the show. And, like, you know, Hal works for the team. And the team wants everybody to think that everything's going well. And that at the end of the day, you know, the Predators are going to win, baby, win.
Go team.
You know, that's kind of the reality of the situation. But even though Hal, you know, he was sitting there like, yeah, like, these are some big games, you know, like, this is why the hockey season is the way it is. Like, these are some big games now. Now, Hal said that's why you love sports, because it has you on the edge of the seat. That's actually not true. I like it when my teams win by multiple touchdowns, multiple goals. I like sweeps, not 7-game series. I would prefer that. But I understand what he means. And it sounds like that you can do this one of two ways, right? You can either hold on to your rear end every game the rest of the way and, you know, go down like a Plinko chip and just follow it all the way through when it hits the bottom thing and say, oh, you know, they got to win this game. It's coming up against Ottawa. If they don't win this game, oh, my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. Or you can be like me and you can just say, like, they're going to make the playoffs because they're good enough to make the playoffs. Every time you think they're not going to win, every time their feet are held to the fire, they win, even if it's against a good team. You know, the teams that they're playing down the stretch, everybody's like, hey, these are really good teams. But a lot of these teams, once they make the playoffs, kind of pack it in a little bit. And so I just know they'll play hard enough to get into playoffs. Mm-hmm. Will they win anything when they get into playoffs? I don't know. I would say that I'm skeptical, but I wouldn't be surprised if they beat Calgary in the first round. And I think once you get to the NHL playoffs, you know, now the matchups matter. Now the injuries matter. Now they played 5 games. They played 7 games. You know, that kind of stuff matters. So it's a long-winded way of me saying that I am just not worried about this team not making the playoffs. And if they don't make the playoffs, then we'll rip, you know, everybody's rear end out when they don't. But, I mean, I think they'll make the I think they should make the playoffs. I think they will make the playoffs. And then whatever happens in the playoffs, that's, you know, a different topic for a different day. But I am not panicked about it. What do our phone lines say?
Chris texts in and says, it appears the Predators seem to play up a little bit more to their competition, so having stronger teams remaining on the schedule might benefit them a little bit more than if they played a bunch of games against the lesser opponents, which they have tended to lose to.
Doesn't that kind of feel like the point I was trying to make with Hal when I was like, Buffalo sucks? And I knew he was going to be like, you know, Buffalo hasn't sucked so bad lately. Buffalo went out there and they beat Toronto twice, and Buffalo, they don't suck that bad. Like, I knew that he was going to say something like that. And I think his point was that they've had points in 7 games in a row or something. Mm-hmm. And I'm just telling you right now, and I'm just here to tell you right now. I'm sorry. I'm watching the TV here, and the guy was literally like humping the ice as he was like warming up. And I'm sorry, but
it's his pregame ritual.
He's got to get the pelvic thrusts ready for the game.
He's got to get the legs
He's got to get warmed up on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Who is that? Is that Mitch Marner?
Who that was.
I don't even know who that is. Guy's just humping the ice. And I'm like trying to think.
He's got to get his mind right, okay?
I'm like trying to think about what you're talking about, but he's humping the ice. Anywho, look, I mean, the Predators lose to bad teams all the time, and then they go out and beat really good teams.
But like, how
so they'll beat good teams.
How frustrating is that, though? That the Predators go out and lose to these crap teams, and then they turn around and beat, you know, the Florida Panthers, or if they win tonight, the Minnesota Wild.
They beat the Florida Panthers in Florida with David Riddick in net.
Yes, and like that is. And they looked damn good doing it. That looked like a playoff game.
There's 2 ways to do this. You can either get worked up. You can either, you know,
Which
every
is
game.
Normally the Jared Stillman way of thinking is getting worked up.
Every game, you can get all worked out. Oh, my God, if they don't win Minnesota today in the Downs, oh, my God. You can do that. Or you can be like me, and you can just know that they're going to make the playoffs. Like, they're going to make the playoffs. I'm not worried about it.
This is a new you.
I am not worried about this.
This is a cavalier Jared Stillman that I just haven't seen before.
I'm just not worried about it. They'll make it. Everybody will be happy. They'll make it. You know, maybe they'll make it. The first series will go 6 games. They might win. They might lose. I don't know. But that's what'll happen. And, you know, we'll enjoy it while they're in there for those 6 games. And then if there are 6 more games after that,
then enjoy those as well.
Then if there's even more games after that, then the entire city will start, you know, getting all fired up again. And they'll line the streets like they did last time. And who knows? And do I think it's capable? Sure. Predators can score across multiple lines. They've got the best defenseman in the league. They've got a goalie that can steal games. Yeah, they can do it. You know, they don't have an inept coach. I'm not sure they have a great coach, but they don't have an inept coach. So, I mean, I am way more concerned about that guy humping the ice right now than I am about the Predators making the playoffs or not making the playoffs.
I don't think you should be worried about him. He seems like he's having a great time.
Hey, he is warmed up. He is ready to go. Hey, drop that puck. That's how he feels.
Let's go, baby. Game time.
All right, get one more quick in.
One texter texts in and says, I'm going to give you a top. Oh, okay. Says, Saros is not good on the road. Since the All-Star break, he has lost a ton of road games. Did he get hurt? Is it some kind of All-Star curse? I love Saros. He's a great talent, but away games seem to be his kryptonite.
You know what's funny is I remember that great quarterback that got hurt, but it only affected him for road games. It never affected him for home games.
Interesting how that
I think
works.
it was a shoulder injury, but it only hurt on the road as opposed to the home games.
Interesting how that works.
I mean, what kind of question is that?
It's the travel that affects him.
Now, they used to say Steve McNair, when he had those bad back injuries, Steve McNair would have to sit on the flight. So when they played the Raiders in the AFC Championship game, Steve McNair had to stand on the flight
Like a cross-country
all the way out to Oakland, and they did wonder if that had an issue on it or not. Time now for Predators game day.
It's Hockey Night in Smashville.
Deflects back for Duchesne. His shot stopped, and the score!
What are the keys to victory tonight? What's being said in the locker room? Where do the Preds reside in the Central Division standings? Jared Stillman has the latest now. With Preds Game Day on Stillman and Company. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. This is Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Predators Game Day is presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. We have been talking about how it is a big one for the Predators, who are 39-25 and 4, good for 82 points. The Wild, 43-20-5, good for 91 points. How did the Wild jump so far up the Predators? Who knows? Anywho, John Hines on past success against the Wild.
Well, I think the games have been both very competitive. I think lots of times when you have it, I think we've played some pretty good hockey against them. I don't think that there's one reason why we've won the games and they haven't. To be honest, I think that both games have been very competitive. We found a way to get on the winning side of it, and I wouldn't anticipate anything different tonight. We know it's going to be a hard-fought game. They're a talented team. They're well coached. They're playing well right now, so we have to be at our best. And I think fortunately we've played some of our better hockey against them, and we're certainly going to need that tonight.
I would agree that they're probably going to need the better hockey as they take on Minnesota. Again, we can go through the standings, but here's what really matters. The Predators right now are in 4th place, but they're really in the Western Conference in 7th place. And they are 1 point ahead of Dallas, who has 81 points, and Dallas is trailing Vegas by 1 point. So you and Vegas are tied. And it's my long-winded way of saying if you lose and they win, then the chances are then they're going to jump you and you would be out of the playoffs. And for everybody that's worried about not making the playoffs, that's how that would happen. So that is how close it is right now. And yet I'm still not concerned. Maybe I should be, but I'm really not all that concerned as they take on Minnesota tonight. Minnesota's a very good team. People are thinking that they're a cup contender, and I think they'll probably win. That's going to do it for us. We're out of here. The pregame show. Lindsay Rowley is here, ladies and gentlemen. That is coming up next. We are out of here. We'll be back tomorrow.